All right, killers, welcome to episode 14, chapters 56 through 60. Dan's measure of his own humility hits a new height on this one, and he has much more relationship and drinking advice for us all to learn from, so look forward to that. Regarding Kvothe, we discuss him getting his pipes and how he doesn't exactly celebrate like Dame Lillard hitting the last second three, but much more like a little girl winning a pageant. We get to know Kvothe's non-castrati friends a bit more and talk about their balls and discuss how Denna smells like she may actually need a bath. There's more discussion about Kvothe's awkwardness with women. We talk about Devi and Denna, and Dan confesses to prefer the type of woman who could possibly stab him in his sleep, while Fitz waxes poetic about loving women with big ears. The floppier the better, apparently. And then Fitz tries to compliment the audience while Dan stakes his claim that we all should be hanging on his every word in order to greatly improve our lives. So listen close to learn the best ways to start up a conversation with a woman and how you too can avoid getting stuck in the friend zone. Enjoy it.
All right, welcome back, killers, to the Utmost Killer Broadcast, King Killer Podcast. Tonight we got with us Tan Dan and Dim Tim. How you doing, guys?
Doing well. I'm a big fan. Like, the last couple nicknames of mine have been pretty solid, and Tim's have been spot on. Spot on.
No. I was actually...
Tim.
No,
I like it.
No. I'm feeling actually pretty good.
That's
pretty
that's
good.
merch. I think that is the first time you've came up with merch off your opening, Dim Tim. Yeah, that's merch right there. I think that might be our hottest seller.
I had dim sum yesterday, so
yeah, dim sum,
yeah.
Dim Tim.
That's what made me think of it, Tim. Not because
some
of your
dim,
overall
some dim
demeanor.
some dim sum.
Is that,
I don't know.
Is that something? I don't know what that is either.
I'm not on that dim level.
No, I had some dim sum. I had some dim sum.
Oh,
got it.
Dim Tim had some dim sum. All right, well let's dig in here, guys. So last time we finished up with Kvothe getting his applause. Now we go on to chapter 56, Patrons, Maids, and Metheglin. So in this chapter, Kvothe is on stage after his performance of the lay of Sir Salian Treliard. Stanchion joins him on stage, and Kvothe is awarded his pipes. Kvothe joins his friends off stage. They drink Metheglin and Scutton. Kvothe is congratulated by admirers. He meets Threp, who gives him 7 talents. Kvothe realizes that Ambrose is probably the one who used sympathy to break his strings during his performance, and then he hurries out of the bar. Kvothe scours the bar for his Eloine, and he eventually finds her at the end of the chapter. Kvothe says only thing he could think was that she was beautiful. Dan, do you think that had something with some yellowish knots in her hair?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it did or not. It could have, but he didn't remark on her hair, so I don't know.
I just thought
any kind of indication there.
I just thought because he the way he phrased it was like all I could think was beautiful, and that just reminded me this time around of what you were saying, and then later on I believe in the second book when he says that she actually has that tied into her hair.
Yeah, no, it definitely stands out. But it's hard to say on that. Because there's no other clue or anything once you move into the next chapter, and you find, or then 2 chapters later, once you find out it's her, like, it doesn't remark on her hair having braids. At least none that I remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it definitely sticks out. I mean, when you go back through it, like, I definitely think that when I see it, I'm curious whether that's the case. But we don't know how long she's... I would assume that it's not. I would assume that she had to go to learn that kind of stuff, she had to go to Yale to be able to learn that kind of stuff. So, and she's not, she goes to Yale much later.
Okay.
That is definitely one thing that we find out in this group of chapters specifically, is that she's very knowledgeable. She knows a lot. She has a wide range of knowledge on a variety of different subjects. She surprises Kvothe quite a bit with her knowledge. And,
yeah, which tells
perfect.
You a lot about her.
Well, it's also perfect for somebody like him, specifically like all her knowledge of theater and all these different plays. And he's always like, well, most people don't know that play, or most people don't, know this or that or whatever.
And if it's true how quickly she learned the Lay of Sir Savian off of hearing it 2.5 times, she's got to be some kind of a savant like he is.
You guys don't memorize songs the second time you hear them?
No, not usually.
Huh.
Is that normal
I'm not a
for
music
people?
Normal people are not able to do that?
No, not normal people, Dan.
That's weird.
It is interesting that they are both, they both seem to have tremendous ear, and her especially, because he comments on it repeatedly about how outstanding her ear is.
Yeah, she parallels him in a lot of ways. She's knowledgeable on a lot of different things. She's able to mingle with many different sorts. She can kind of mix it up with anybody. She's not thrown off by being around nobility like Savoy or Ambrose, or hanging with Kvothe and Will and Sim, or hanging out with fucking Diak. She's able to, fucking mixing it up in the street. She's a chameleon like Kvothe. She can mix it up in any scenario. They're very, very similar. Which it makes me, there's a lot to question on that. Was she raised in a similar background? Because Kvothe is able to do those things for a very specific set of reasons. He grew up in a troop with a bunch of people teaching him a bunch of different things. And I'm curious whether she learned those growing up, or, if she left her family and she's living out on the streets, and she's, living a rough life and had a bunch of bad things happen to her. And then she had to pick up different skills, and she goes and hires people to teach her different things. I'm curious what the process was for her to get to that level. Was it just part of her upbringing, or was it out of necessity?
There's got to be something to do with her upbringing as far as the theater stuff goes, because as a young girl who has become a hooker, so to speak, those skills we see portrayed by how she picks up men, and I guess in that way, there could be some theatrical skill, but not knowledge of the theater itself.
But I mean, it's also how she knows how to act at court, like they say, right? In formal atmosphere. That seems to be something that has to be taught. You can't. They don't have television shows where you know what I mean, where you watch. It's like girls go to finishing school, right? So it seems like either she had someone in her family that somewhat like Kvothe's mother who taught him all these things, like she had someone she was growing up with, or she did have, I don't know, she strikes me as an orphan like Kvothe, mainly because she doesn't have family. We don't hear about family. But of course, again, we're in the dark about a lot of the details of her, especially her past.
Yeah.
She strikes me as a runaway. But
yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's tough to pin down one way or another. But we do know when she runs into that girl that she saves from getting raped, she tells her, I could introduce you to some people. We could put you in contact with some people who could teach you how to lose that accent, learn how to act with the upper echelon of society, so you could become a courtesan instead of just a lowly street hooker. And so it lends some credence to the fact that she's had to learn these things because of her circumstances.
When she's talking,
because she's explaining it that girl would need to do these things.
Yeah. So when she's giving her that choice, because she's basically giving her the choice, does she go as far as saying someone did this for me? I thought that was.
I don't remember. There's something like. There's some line why the girl asks her like why are you helping me?
Yeah, exactly.
And she gives because blah blah blah. I don't remember what it was. Well, obviously we'll come across it, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But it could have been something like that. Someone helped me out when I needed it.
You're right though. I mean that situation is one of the biggest pictures, maybe the biggest picture we get of her past and what she's made of. What she's made up of, because she's giving her this choice. And that's how we get an absolute clincher that she's definitely, having sex for money, or at least has, because when the girl's like, well, maybe, no, that's not how this works. She immediately cuts her off and is like, no, you're going to be giving it up. That's just how this works. So don't fool yourself, sort of situation. It's a pretty hard truth. Comes down like a hammer.
Yeah, man. That WAP, dude.
Okay.
The WAP comes down like a hammer.
I didn't really feel like that's
we hope
what.
So anyway.
Was yes, we hope so.
Is that not what you were going with?
Not really. But there's a connection.
I misinterpreted it. I misinterpreted what you were saying.
But She is an interesting, very, very interesting, enigmatic character. And their back and forths I know we've talked about it plenty of times, but their back and forths are really, really interesting, and just the little dance they do where they
the dance.
Yeah, where they did. Yeah, where they they both kind of it's a lot of like joking around and not taking things seriously, and then every now and then it does get somewhat serious, and then one of them will pull back a little bit. It's really interesting what that also hints at for the two of them, in terms of like her own self-worth that she has, because she's got self-worth issues just like Kvothe.
The fact that they both act like they've never met each other before lends to that point, Tim. They both, at least Kvothe believes that she doesn't remember meeting him, and she plays right along.
Her reaction. I mean, we'll go into it, but yeah, her reaction is like someone who knows, she's seeing someone she hadn't seen in a long time. That's like, I don't like. That's just one of those where it was another one where it's like, dude, this dude, man, his self-confidence problems are annoying as shit. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she must not know me. Like, why the fuck do you think she was, like, skipping up to you? Because she joined you in a song? Like, no, dude.
Yeah. She gets giddy. Like you picture a girl who hasn't seen a friend in a long time. They do that. They get super giddy and, like...
He says that. He says she ran up to me like... Yeah. All right, we'll get to that.
But I guess the 15-year-old in him didn't understand it. Or, just doesn't. It's very strange. It's a frustratingly strange wall of his inability to like picture other people's motivations. I've called it empathy in the past. Maybe empathy is not the right word, but he can't picture where they're coming from in so many ways with certain people.
I obviously said it, a number of times. I think it's the self-confidence issue, and that he just cannot wrap his head around why anybody would want him. I don't think it has anything to do with empathy. I think he understands why they're the way they are. He just cannot understand why anybody, like, even when like just little simple acts of kindness make him fucking tear up. Like, he just cannot grasp why people would care about him. Because he, fucking for 3 years, he was, kicked around in the dirt like he was a fucking piece of garbage.
Well, not only that, but the story continues. Not that he's kicked around so much at the university. I mean, he has reasons to have his confidence built up, but it's not like he's got a whole bunch, some core network that loves him like a family does or anything like that. besides Sim and Willem, who are his buddies, and, not like a mom or something like that.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's psychologically damaged, and it makes more sense for the story for him to not be real good with understanding, that people would give a shit about him, like, given what's happened to him. It makes sense, but it's also incredibly frustrating to read.
Speaking of his reasons to have confidence, he got his talent pipes tonight.
Yeah, and so, like, the first part of the chapter, he examines his lute strings, and he notices that they weren't worn or flawed. It looked like someone cut it with a knife. And so you immediately recognize that this is, and to us as readers, you should immediately recognize that it's got to be sympathy, that someone fucking chopped his strings out, and then obviously they put two and two together, and you realize it's almost surely Ambrose. There's enough doubt in there that it could be someone else, but I don't know who else it would be other than Ambrose.
I like how he does it, because he intros it and then goes to stanchion and then comes back to it, So he intros it and then changes the subject where it's like now everybody's watching him on the stage and all that. And then it comes back where he sits, now he's back with Will and Sim. And then that's where they later he sort of brings it up where he's like, yeah, where's our friend? Where's Ambrose? And then when Willem sort of lets him know what he looked like when he was going out, then it's like, oh yeah, had to have been him. So for the reader, once that happens, it's a clincher.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why it would have been somebody else.
I'm just saying, like, Rothfuss could throw in something that, there was someone else, that there's a guy behind the scenes that is fucking with Kvothe. I mean, there's a lot of shit that happens to Kvothe where it could be someone else, like the bone tar example. It seems to be that someone fucked with the bone tar to make that shit blow up and, catch on fire. Well, so I think there's someone hidden behind the veil, and it could be that someone like that is also did this, but because of Ambrose's reaction, it's, I'm 99% sure that it's Ambrose. I just leave that 1% that it could have been someone else.
I'll add a percent. I'll add a percent to your 1% that it could have been someone else.
An idiot.
Could have been someone else who knew Kvothe could play with one less string and wanted him to be able to survive another semester by getting his talent pipes and
to wow the crowd even further.
Yeah, seemed like he was going to get it
rising
anyways,
to the occasion.
Seemed like
even
without that he was.
It seems like I was going to say it seems like with this song and the difficulty of it and how great he is at it, probably going to get it anyway. But to be able to do it in the way he did it, it becomes a magical event. It becomes, again, like they say,
heroic
two groups of people. Well, yeah, and it becomes two groups of people coming up to him. Half are like, wow, it's the most moving song I've ever heard. And half are like, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah.
Hey, so speaking to the people who are wowed and coming up to him, and Kvothe, not realizing that one girl who they said was real sexy, the commissioner's daughter or something, and hitting on him and him not noticing, not realizing it. When she says, she asks him to come help her with her harp fingerings. Think that could have been a euphemism, guys?
No.
They sort of insinuate that
it was
that you could take it as one, but
no, it was not.
I actually had
100% not. She's a very good girl, and I'm offended that you guys would imply otherwise. I really like this girl, and I think it's very disrespectful what you guys are doing to her.
I think it's pretty funny that Kvothe basically pulls that fucking line because he's scared to talk to a woman and can't see what do you want to call it? He can't see he even admits it, like to the reader, I don't know women, but I have to admit it to them. So he's like, I don't think that's what she had in mind.
Yeah.
And then they're like, dude, what are you doing? And he's just like, ugh. He's like, acts disgusted.
Yeah.
Like he's all above it.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, shut the fuck up, man.
Do you know that she's a proper lady?
Yeah. A lot of that talk. There's a few moments in this chapter where I'm like, dude, you're a nerd. Now he is a kid, so granted, but there's quite a few moments where it's like, dude, stop being such a dork. But one where probably a lot of people don't think he's a dork, but struck me as him being a dork, is when they give him the talent pipes when he gets it. Well, and actually, it's pretty cleverly done by Rothfuss anyway. Like, he did this to us with the tuition, where in Kvothe's mind, we're in Kvothe's mind, so we're thinking, oh shit, he's not getting it. So he even goes as far as, how do you act? My father raised me the right way. I'm a Demaroo, and I'm going to take it with my head up, and, it's not going to affect me, and I'm not going to give Ambrose or anybody else any pleasure in seeing me, distraught over this or in despair. And then boom, he has the talent pipes. Yeah, and like a big old nerd.
I love right before it gets him though. He's like, the earth would crack and swallow this glittering, self-important place before I show a trace of despair. And then like he gets it, and it's like, yeah, this place is pretty fucking nice. Like, it was like when he thought he wasn't gonna get it, it's like, fuck this place, fucking stupid shithole. This place is nothing. This place is nothing. Oh, I won. This place is fucking amazing. Only the best could win here.
He bears down on that twice, where he makes it even a bigger deal. But to me, when he gets the pipes and realizes he has the pipes, for me, he does a really nerdy thing, which is hold them up in the air. I don't know. That just struck me as like, you're a dork, you nerd. Like one of those like act like you've been there type moments, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
I win.
Given the way they do the thing, like he kind of slides it into your palm, like hiding it. Like you would need to hold it up to show people you won.
I don't think.
I think it would be weird if you just walked off the stage and everybody thought you didn't get them, and then you just don't tell anybody.
He'd have been a lot cooler if he did that, though, Dan. That's what Tim's point
He
is.
would have been a lot cooler.
He also
it's still going to be quite clear.
You may not understand, Dan. It's fine.
It's still, yeah. He's not exactly Dame Lillard, Kvothe.
Got my fucking talent pipes.
Does everybody see how shiny they are?
How many guys are flashing the okay sign every time they bust a three? Like that's what you do.
I hate it. I hate it. It's so the stirring the pot. Luckily, they don't do that so much anymore. But that one was really stupid.
The pointing the head. Good ones.
The pointing the head, where guys literally like hit their head with their finger. Where they just hit their head.
They thought about it, and that's
they thought that one in. They thought it in.
I think Kvothe and his buddy should have ran to the back of the auditorium, and they all should have posed with their arms crossed, looking real tough.
Flicking coins in the air. It's like leaning back, just flicking coins in the air with a toothpick in their mouth.
I still think book 3 there's going to be a lot of boy band aspects to it, where Will and Sim and Kvothe are going to start a boy band, and that's what's going to bring it all down. Like they have that real high. They have that rush where they just like become super famous, but then they get real bad into drugs. Start sleeping with a bunch of moms and the daughters at the same time, and then it all comes crashing down when they lose their fame.
Yeah, no, I see that. I think 1/4 of the way through, it's basically going to be like a K-pop. They're just going to be like a K-pop group. Totally see that. Yeah, that's definitely going to work out.
Book 3 is
they're going the rise and fall.
Hanging Tough.
Hanging Tough with the Boys. That'll be their name. That's the group, the Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
that would be classic.
Simon cries after every song they perform.
And all the girls love it.
That would be something like, if I was Rothfuss, I would be tempted to do that, like to self-publish the 3rd book and just put out the biggest piece of garbage. Basically, it's like a
just like trolling your audience.
VH1 fucking follow the band where they do that fucking the rise and fall and then the rise again.
Just troll your entire audience and then let out the legit book. Yeah. Like, that was funny though. You guys enjoy that?
Puts out a good book 3 that is actually serious. That would be great. But if he's really just trolling us, I'm going to be pissed, guys.
I think really I think you'd have to do the trolling after the book. It's been too much anticipation.
See, I would be very tempted to just troll. Everybody would be like, I already got mine. Like, you guys got to deal. Just deal with it, folks. But yeah, so then he gets the other parts I like too is when he gets back to the table and he goes and he sees Simmons been crying like a little girl, and then even Willem's got the red around his eyes, and so he's made both these guys, start bawling. They're talking about like that he's needs to buy them drinks, and what's his face comes up to him, Stanchion. He's like, these must be the 2 non-castrati friends, eh? Simon was surprised enough at being called a non-castrati to collect himself slightly, rubbing his nose on his sleeve. Willem, Sim, the Stanchion. Willem gave a slight stiff bow. Stanchion, could you help us to the bar? I've promised to buy them a drink. Will said, drinks. Sorry, drinks, I stress the plural. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Ah, Stanchion said with a grin. Patreons, I understand completely. But I like that interaction. You get their personalities real well. Like from Sim, crying like a little blubbering baby, and Willem, like with the red around his eyes, but acting like it didn't affect him. And then the the slight stiff bow and all the different just little mannerisms. It helps build out Willem and Sim, because like by the end of the 2 books, like I feel like I have a good handle on Willem and Sim. They feel like fully fleshed out characters, and I think it's these little touches that do it.
Yeah, there's a couple in here with Willem that make me like him a bit more. I like the non-castrati.
Yeah,
that's an interesting way to refer to a guy. Like, yeah, he still has his balls. Yeah. So these are my friends. They still have their nuts. So that's cool. I know it's like a singing thing, but still, man, it's like, what? These must be the non-castrati men that I heard about. Yes, I still have all my man parts.
That's how I've always referred to you guys when I introduce you to people. These are my 2 non-castrati friends. Like implying that you have a lot of...
the castrati.
Yeah. Yeah. Implying that you have a number of castrati friends.
Yes, like that sounds like the rest are all castrati. Yeah. Which is interesting. I have a bunch of...
the exception to the rule.
A bunch of friends who are eunuchs. You run with the eunuch crowd.
And they get up to the bar after that, and he gets his metheglin. He's like, if you haven't tried it, then I'm sorry, I cannot describe it properly. If you have, you don't need me to remind you what it's like. We were looking up before the show, looking at Rothfuss made metheglin. We talked about like making it ourselves, and then we realized like this dude's like brewing metheglin. Like it's a whole fucking process. It's not like just combining stuff and making a drink. It was like, no, you gotta basically start a brewery to make this stupid thing.
Yeah, he's activating yeast. I mean, he's fermenting. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have the time or the cellar to put this in to spend the time doing it. I love the description. The intro's great, where it's where I'm from, they say a man will come back from the dead to get a drink of it. And then just the particular description of cool spring honey, clove, cardamom, cinnamon, pressed grape, burnt apple, sweet pear, and clear well water. The burnt apple, like that, just that special detail of, it's not just apple, it's burnt apple. It just gives a better depth to the idea of what this would taste like. But yeah, it's pretty cool to build that up And there's a lot of elements going on in this whole scene where it's, all the emotion with Sim like weeping, the crowd, all the applause he just got, him standing up like a big nerd, just like all of this happening, and then like the flavors and like the rewarding, and they're still kind of like doing the politic thing because they don't really know how to read necessarily stanchion yet, but then they kind of get to know him, and then it's interesting. There's a lot of activity for sure.
And before we move on the metheglin, like that does not sound at all like anything I would ever drink. And if someone like gave it to me, like I would be like, nope.
It doesn't sound like anything I've ever drank. It sounds like it would be pretty delicious, or well, at least interesting. But yeah, it doesn't sound like anything.
Alcohol, I don't like flavorful.
No, I don't
drinks. Either. I like, like I want like just like a whiskey or a beer. Like I don't like fruity drinks. Like I don't want more sugar when I'm drinking alcohol.
I've never done any of the ciders. Those have become like big. I don't order any of the ciders. I've ordered one once like years ago. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I'm like, nope. How would anyone drink this? Like,
I'm not a cider guy, but there's some good drinks out there. I mean, like that, flavorful drinks. But I'm different than you.
Well,
guys.
if you're talking cocktail, it's
like
completely different.
Grenadine and Corona guy, more like a whiskey guy.
I'm not. But whiskey, vodka mixes good with a lot of different, and so does gin with juices and.
Well, if I'm mixing vodka or gin with fruit, it's because I don't have other options typically. For me personally, or I'll make punch for a bunch of people to get hammered. But other than that, like an old fashioned, that's about as far as I'm going to go with fruit. And it's very little amount of actual fruit like mixed into the drink. I kind of agree with Dan. I don't want like added sugar. I mean, the alcohol itself is quite a lot of sugar.
Yeah, I mean, and now especially when you start getting older, like I can't even do like Jack and Cokes. Like if I do Jack and Cokes all night, I'm gonna be so fucked up the next day. It's just gonna fucking wreck me. The combination of dark liquor and sugar, like yeah,
it's brutal.
It's fucking it's like 2-day hangover.
Yeah,
it's like the first day I can't even fucking move, and then the second day is like a normal hangover. So I can't fucking do it. So like I hear that like fucking sugary fucking drink, and I'm like, nope, that sounds terrible. I don't know. It's trying to describe like a great tasting drink, and I was like, man, that just sounds awful to me.
Well, I thought it sounded great.
First of all, it's not. You don't have to consider it a dark alcohol with it. But if you have like a nice vodka with some soda water and a splash of some kind of juice, that's how you could think of it.
Well, what's interesting with this metheglin is that's kind of how I pictured it, would be almost like a cocktail, but apparently it's not because of his.
It sounds like a wine.
We looked up.
Yeah, it very much is like a wine.
But it
super sugary
like a mead.
Wine.
Yeah. It would have to be with all the honey and grape and apple and pear and yeah.
But I'm not going to make it.
Each of their own.
I'm not going to make it. In terms of I recommend anybody listening, you guys should make it and see what happens. See if you can survive and if it kills
would be really interesting.
And how good it tastes.
What would be really interesting is if the combination of all these things ends up being LSD.
That would be sweet. Then I would change my entire perspective on it.
Everybody
not
ends
that I
up
would
having...
ever do that, and it's wrong. You should not do drugs. Stay away from drugs, kids.
It's wrong.
But I would definitely do it.
While we're on the subject, kids, don't ferment your own alcohol and drink it. It's not a good idea.
No, definitely do it and tell us what happens.
Maybe it's just like Molly, man. Maybe they're just getting mauled up, But I would much prefer to have the cut tail or the scutton that Will and them describe. That sounds like it sounds more fun, personally.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Sounds like a slow.
It's like he's got the fruity drinks in there, and that Sim and Kvothe will drink, And then he's got Will, who's like fucking just give me a fucking bottle of scotch and I'll just chug scotch. And like, so like he's got the different drinking personalities into it. Like Rothfuss is, he does a really good job of building out the world in a way that kind of mirrors the real world.
Well, because they call it a black wine, I kind of thought of Scutton as like Jägermeister.
Yeah, I mean, you could
guy drinking that all night. Ugh.
Man, that'd be brutal. Jeez.
Black licorice.
I do like the. I agree with Dan. I mean, it's important to give these different characters different, characteristics. Everybody drinking the same thing. It's not as, you got to differentiate, your peoples within the story.
What I think is cool about it is he doesn't just like have them order different drinks. They fit their personalities and they talk shit to each other about their drink choices. Like it's very realistic to especially young men. Like at their age, they're first assumingly they're first starting to drink. And so they're going to be talking shit to each other about their drink choices and that kind of shit. As you get older, you stop doing that, and you stop giving a shit what your friends are fucking drinking. And,
well, you keep it in the back of your mind, but young, you just don't. You just don't say it.
You don't rag on you stop ragging on people and trying to force them to drink what you drink. But that young guy fucking testosterone fueled shit where you're just talking shit to each other about what you're drinking, fucking basically calling each other pussies for their drink choice or not drinking enough and
that's always
and
like
that kind of stuff. So the fact that he weaves that into the story, it's a minor part, but it's what helps make the story so good and flesh it out. Is it grounds you where it feels like interactions that you would have with your friends. So when you're reading about it, it seems that's the reason I feel like I'm able to get lost in the story is like it feels so natural and it's just like all the little subtle details seem to be shit that happen just in normal human interactions. It doesn't seem forced. It seems very natural.
Yeah, it's definitely the details make it work. For sure. I agree with all that. And
then I like when Stanchion asks him how he learned to play with six strings, and he's like, before I leave you to the adulation of your peers, I have to ask, where'd you learn to do that? Play missing a string, I mean. I thought for a moment, do you want the short or the long of it? I'll take the short for now. I smiled. Well, in that case, it's just something I picked up. I made a casual gesture as if tossing something away. A remnant of my misspent youth.
The gravity.
Love that. Just not having to retell the story to us because we already know it, but then throwing it in is just like a little funny line.
Well, the gravity of it, real quick, the gravity of it, the immensity of what it took for him to learn that shit, and for someone to be like, "Hey, how'd you learn that?" Like. Yeah. Well, my parents died, first of all, so I was stuck in the woods for 3 months, and I didn't have any money. For somebody to think that, from Kvothe's point of view, for someone to come waltz in and think that they can just understand it when he had to actually live it and go through how to learn it. Yeah, if you don't want to hear the long story, I'm just going to blow you off and say it's something I picked up.
Yeah, and he's not gonna tell you the long story. Like, there's no chance he's telling you, "Yeah, my parents were slaughtered by the Chandrian."
Well, I noticed that this kind of comes up every now and again, where Kvothe gives people a chance to say, "Yeah, I want to hear what happened." You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we've talked about it before, but there's a few times where we're this close for Kvothe to explain or to have to say, well, actually, my parents were killed, but the people say, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few times where he thinks about even going into it. Like, there's quite a few times he thinks about it with Lauren. Thinks about it quite a few times where he's like, man, I almost even was willing to say it.
Yeah,
but then he never does.
Like the perfect example is with Denna when she sings her song. Because like he even starts off. He either starts off the chapter or has like a little chapter before that where he talks about like a secret buried so deep down that it's just almost impossible to bring up. And so like he talks about like how he almost told her, but the secret was just buried too deep that he couldn't fucking tell anybody.
It's a great thing that Rothfuss does, man, because it's one of those great things that all great authors do is you're in on it. You know the secret that the character has, and you know how he ebbs and flows with how he deals with it. And I mean, that's the payoff here. We know what he went through. For some guy to say, give me the short version. How'd you pick that up?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, ain't gonna happen, bro. Like, oh yeah, I can teach you in 5 minutes. Yeah, you got 5 minutes? I'll show you right now.
It's easy. You just did it. You don't know how to do that?
What do you mean? So what I did was I was playing with 7, and then 1 broke, and then I just kept playing with 6. That's what I did. What do you mean?
Like
Why do you ask? Why do you ask?
That's weird. That's weird that you can't do that. It came so naturally to me. I love to like we meet Threp here. I love the way they I love the interaction with him, and then Will's reaction to Threp.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah,
he's like Threp coming in. Then it broke. He said, gesturing wildly, and all I could think was, "Not now, not before the ending." But I saw the blood on your hand and my stomach knotted up. You looked up at us, then down at the strings, and it got quieter and quieter. Then you put your hands back on the lute, and all I could think was, there's a brave boy. Too brave. He doesn't know he can't save the end of a broken song with a broken lute. But you did! He laughed as if I'd played a joke on the world and danced a quick jig step. And then you get fucking Willem like looking at him like, who the fuck is this dude?
Yeah, I love that. Willem didn't seem to know what to make of the man and watched him with serious eyes.
Yeah.
As Simmons like laughing with him and all that, getting all jovial. I like that, man, because when I saw that, I'm like, that's very much the way that I am when some dude just walks into a group and he's all like just that much energy and everything, and I'm just kind of like, what the.
No, I'm saying the same way. High energy strangers, like a high energy stranger is going to make me be like Will, where I'm just going to be like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, what's his fucking deal? Is this a fucking act? Is this guy fucking for real? Like, what are you trying to get out of me, buddy?
Yeah, I love Threp's character. I identify with the high energy stranger. I've gotten that look a few times. Like, what the fuck is this guy? Calm down, son.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
And then he ends up hooking him up with fucking 7 talents, which fucking saves Kvothe's ass. Like that's the whole reason he was doing this was to get money, and Threp hooks him up with so much money that he's able to, pay off his, the principal, not the principal, but the interest to his dad. He's able to pay off Kelvin. He's able to do a number of different things, which is all came through Threp hooking him the fuck up.
Yeah, I like the description of the sleazy guy that comes up and like kind of whispers for him he hands him a pouch of money and's like, oh, get some new strings.
Yeah.
I love like just when he gets the money.
I kept the money.
I kept that money.
I love when he gets the money from Threp. It's the thing that we always get with Kvothe, where he's got this tally in his head. We're always reminded of, because it always helps build that tension, and always helps it keep it alive, because it's what he always has to deal with. But when he gets it, he slides the talents into his pocket, feels a great weight lift from his shoulders. It was like a stay of execution, perhaps literally, as I had no idea how Devi might have encouraged me to pay my debt. I drew my first carefree breath in 2 months. Felt good. Yeah, it's nice. It's those check-ins, man. He's always doing those check-ins with like he's got responsibilities. He's got to keep his shit together. It's why he can kind of never really relax, and he gets to relax here, which is great timing. because they're all getting swept up in like the fun of everything.
Yeah, and it's a lifesaver. Getting that money from Threp it's a literal. I shouldn't say literal lifesaver, but it's a lifestyle saver. Like he's not if he doesn't get that money at that point, if he doesn't get his talent pipes, his days at the university are done because he had no other way to make money.
But
yeah,
as the reader, from the reader standpoint, we know how good he is. So we, in a sense, we think he's getting those talent pipes. We think he's getting that patron and that money, and it comes true here. And Rothfuss has really got us on a high for this.
Yeah, it really feels like things are starting to open up, right? Because now we know how good he is. We know how prepared he is. He just got his reward. Everybody in the room knows it. They're all coming up. They're all recognizing his abilities. So it feels like, all right, so now shit is coming together. He's got his studies working. He has his little run-ins every now and then, but he's finally getting things rolling.
We go through
he puts him through like peaks and valleys, like because obviously valleys out again, but like the peaks are always a little bit higher and the valleys are a little bit lower
as we go on. You mean?
Yeah. Like as far as like his money, is concerned, like he gets up a little bit and then dips and then goes up up a little higher and then dips not quite as low. It just keeps the highs are higher, the lows are higher, but he's never just like consistently moving up.
The stakes are always getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
We've only just learned about Ambrose, and I don't mean to skip ahead here, but the reason why I bring up the high that he's on and even higher when he meets Denna is because it brings me back to that same feeling when he starting shit with Ambrose here in a couple chapters that brings him back down a little bit later, because what he does forces puts Ambrose into high gear to basically ruin Kvothe's life, where he lives and everything else. But as we move forward, the stakes are higher. Then as we learn Ambrose is even more powerful than we thought, and then Kvothe is brought into even higher reward situations with the mayor. But you're right, that's what I'm saying. Yes, the stakes get higher and higher between money and clout and the dangers of what he's flirting with, the Dracus, and of course that's on a little bit more of a high because it's exciting, but with Ambrose too.
Well, and especially like when he has to use the gram, and I mean all that when that comes in, I mean it's like he's at a constant, he's under constant threat. So that's when he really has to lean on his friends and everything. But yeah, it's great. I mean that what you said is 100%. It's the stakes keep getting higher and higher and higher, and it's great. That's what it should be, right? And then we get these little adventures and these life experiences along the way that build him out further, and we see what he's capable of. He gets to see what he's capable of, and it's always surprising. It's surprising in the sense that he's able to do much more than he thought he would have been capable of prior. But it's built that it's always understandable that he can do it, because the parts and pieces that make up the person that's capable of this has been laid before. It's just he ends up doing more than what he should be capable of, given the context of people in the same the historical history of people in the same situation, outside of just the absolute most powerful. He's like rivaling Taborlin the Great,
Right.
So
it's one of Rothfuss's jerky qualities is he always keeps the pressure on Kvothe. Every time he lets him get feeling good about himself, then he's got to pull the rug out from under him.
Jerky qualities?
Yeah, he never lets his kid relax.
Yeah. You can't even give him like fucking 5 chapters of fucking basking in his glory. He's got to fucking pull the rug out from under him. We're gonna read 2 chapters later.
Read about him taking naps.
It's just too much tension. It's too much tension. I don't like a lot of tension in a book.
Yeah. Could get to like second base with Denna at least. Something.
Like, yeah, like they can't date for like have a good solid 6 months dating and just like a nice, enjoyable.
What you should do, you should mix in Danielle Steele novels as you're reading,
Yeah.
Rothfuss. That's not fair. I've never read her novels, so it's not fair for me to say
It's
that.
not fair.
But
I'm sure they're really good. But then the only other part I had is he goes up and he starts looking for Denna, and then you get his psychological scars really rearing their head with his, do not hope, it said, do not dare hope that any woman could burn as brightly as the voice that sang the part of Eowyn. He's ruled by that part of his brain, like with women.
Well,
especially with Denna.
And you kind of skipped over it too with the woman that comes over and she's hitting on him.
Yeah.
I mean that was just a moment ago. And I was gonna say, man, there was a moment here, really, really perfect for you if you were in the scene, where he asked, how do I look? And they could have really been like, oh no, yeah, I took a drink of water and straightened my cloak. Now I must go find my Eowyn and offer my earnest thanks. How do I look?
Like a giant nerd. You're wearing a cloak.
Hey man, hey, Kvothe, just leave the cloak.
Yeah,
just leave the cloak. Comb your hair, leave the cloak.
Yeah.
But instead, Willem's, what does it matter? What does it matter, dude? You don't get it, like, because they were just screwing with him about the councilman's daughter, and he's trying to play the high card, like he's oh yeah, somehow I doubt that a quick romp behind the bar was what she had in mind. He's like trying to play like he's keeping her nobility, or spreading her nobility towards them, where it's like, dude, she's hot and she was coming on to you.
Yeah, well, like, and then like a book later, he's just like fucking running through every girl in town, fucking slaying shit, and then he's definitely left that oh yeah, like she would want to do that, like girls would ever want to have a one night stand. Are you serious?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great though because he's actually defensive, and that's it fits the character. You know what I mean? Because he has that confidence in his own, like, his own perception of what he's capable of. Plus, and he's defensive as well because we even get let in that, like, he doesn't understand women. So he's also, part of it is he's just trying to like defend his own ignorance.
Well, and two, like it gives you a perfect example of his insecurity and his lack of self-esteem, and that he sees himself as low class as far as as a partner would be, because he talks about her like, did you notice she's a nobleman's daughter or whatever she is? Like, he's like, she's above my station. She's too good for me. And, like Sim and Will, they're obviously, they're not from, they haven't had the background that he has had. So they don't see themselves that way, but they don't even see Kvothe that way.
Well, and what they're
definitely does.
And what they're also emphasizing is like, dude, you just murdered the room.
Yeah.
Like, you just scored 80 points for the team that she's rooting for, dude. Like, go, like you take the spoils, bro. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it'd be like, it'd be like a rock star sitting there, like, oh yeah, like that girl really wanted me after I just fucking rocked out in front of everybody at Madison Square Garden. Like, that girl would want me. Her dad is the CEO of Apple. Like, she would want someone like me. A rock star.
What's really funny about that is, like, if she heard him say that, I'd be like, yeah, not now.
Yeah.
You just look like a huge dork, man. So no.
Yeah. No, he's right.
Now you're right.
You just fucking killed it.
Well, that kind of goes back to that.
Fucking dry as the Sahara.
That's I was gonna say that kind of goes back to what it comes down to is like if you believe you can't have it, then yeah, you're not gonna get it.
So if I can go back to when Kvothe is looking around for Denna and that voice is in his head about hope, I think that beyond just women though, like that feeling for Kvothe, especially as he is the narrator, Coat, that feeling from him, that voice, even though I don't know that we hear it again, seems to, really, really come through a lot in this book. That he doesn't. It explains a lot about Kvothe's character. If you hadn't thought about, what he went through in Tarbean, of not having any hope, day to day, thinking you're going to die, that ingrains, especially if you're a little kid, and so even though he can't help it, even though he's just murdered the room, he still thinks there's no hope.
Yeah, it's a really interesting interplay because of everything he's capable of. It imbues in him all this confidence of what he can accomplish, but always goes back to that hard reality of living on the streets and everything can be taken from you in an instant, right? Pike and his friends can show up. I mean, and there's all these different examples of it. What he's doing here, I like so much because it is, again, bringing us back to that part of who Kvothe is. It's also pretty great that when he first is reunited with Denna, he does what he's going to do for the rest of the books with Denna, is he's going to search for her, she's going to search for him. And they're both going to give up and then find each other.
Yeah.
I mean, he does it here. It does it in the first, and the fact that they find each other through a song.
He does it when he first meets her. He does it there too. I mean, like when he's like looking for her.
Yeah, I was wondering what you are doing here. There's also that, it's like they stumble on each other at all times.
I'm talking about like when he was going to leave, magnets. When he's saying his buys, and like he looks around, it's like, well, she's not here, and then turns around, and there she is. Yeah, it's constant theme. They're attracted to each other, but they're they can't find each other when they need each other a lot of times. But
it's so great too because that element is not forced. I mean, yeah, it's a motif that continuously comes back around, but you kind of have to make even kind of make the connection because it's something that is a subtle sort of, she's never around. She's always kind of, she's always floating around somewhere, and it just makes her so much more desirable, man.
Yeah, and then the same thing continues on when he does finally find her, and he's awkward as shit, and he stumbles all over in his own words, and I don't know. He
gets it. He gets it together. But actually, I actually thought that was like quite clever because I've always kind of thought the whole court, the bowing and the dancing that you see in these movies, I always thought it was so like, what are they doing? Why are they doing all this? But then it actually does make sense in the sense.
Yeah, you kind of like that stuff, don't you? It does make sense to you.
But then suddenly it makes sense where it's like this dude can't compose himself. So now just do what you can't, what you're supposed to do here. So now you can keep yourself together, and it looks like you can keep yourself together, for all the eyes around you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it on 56. Let you guys add any little last comments.
Nope.
I don't think so.
All right.
Okay, then chapter 57 is called The Parts That Form Us. So in this chapter, Bast interrupts Kvothe, it seems, as it seems like maybe Kvothe pauses to figure out how he's going to describe Denna. And so Bast kind of jumps in and takes a crack at it and starts by saying that she has perfect ears. But then he goes on to say that her nose is crooked and her face is narrow and not a perfect beauty. And so it seems to throw Kvothe off, and he's off put by it, and he continues to struggle describing her, stopping and tearing part of Chronicler's page out, and then finishing up his description pretty matter-of-factly.
I like this chapter, and for basically Bast and Kvothe's kind of interactions with each other. I like the fact that Rothfuss put that in there with Bast sitting there kind of calling him out. Like, you say everybody's fucking pretty, but I've seen that girl. Like, she's got a fucking crooked nose. And,
yeah, he definitely knocks him down. He's like, dude, she ain't that great. I don't know. That's kind of how it reads to me, where it's kind of like, he's like, dude, she's not. I mean, well, and he even goes as far as like, I'm kind of like an expert on this. Which you get the feeling like this dude has been around for like thousands of years or whatever, right? Because he's of the Fae. So it sounds like he does have.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, but yeah, it's, I don't know. Go ahead.
But yeah, so like he starts off with like, did you talk to her? And Kvothe, of course I talked to her. There would be no story if I hadn't. Telling that part is easy, but first I have to describe her. I'm not sure how to do it. And he's like, we get the nugget where Bast is like, I've seen her once. So we know that Bast meets Kvothe and is around Kvothe, or at least he's in the back. Well, even Kvothe is like, right, you did. So Kvothe and Bast meet each other before shit goes down. That's our biggest clue that they're together before the fucking hammer drops. But then he's like, she had perfect ears, perfect little ears, like they were carved out of something. Which is great because it's like this dude's he does not have a way with words. He's not a poet. He's not like Kvothe as far as that goes. He's like, they were like made out of something.
I like
and
how
ears.
I like how they both kind of like Chronicler like uncharacteristically completely stops and is like kind of like is like, did I write that down right? Did you say ears? Like her ears? Like huh? And he just tries to keep going on about it, and then Chronicler's like, yeah, or I mean Kvothe even like, all right, we got it. We got the ear thing that you're into. Okay. We'll just move on.
It's such a weird thing to be into.
No, he really,
those fucking sexy ass ears.
He really emphasizes it too, because he's like, you know how hard it is to find a pretty girl with the right sort of ears, and Chronicler's like, no, man, no. I really don't.
I don't know.
And he's just like, that. well, then you'll just have to take my word for it. They were exceptionally fine. Like,
yeah, Chronicler was representing the 99% in that conversation.
Well, and Kvothe
ears? No, dude.
Kvothe kind of goes with it too, because he's like, yeah, we got it. Like, I think you've struck that chord well enough, Bast. And he says it amused. So yeah, they're both kind of like, all right, ears? What the fuck? But what's really funny is we do get that in the coming chapter where he does comment on her ears, looking at her ears. So,
well, but he was talking about her ability to remember things, to hear the music and remember them, not like the physical description of her ears.
Yes, but
and her thing is like, that's the first time someone said it while actually looking at my ears. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you saying
she knows? She knows she
saying
has perfect ears.
Your imperial P-Tang looks like an ear? I don't even know what you're referencing.
She knows her ears are exquisite. They're exceptionally fine. And that's why she covers them up, usually, with her long hair.
Yeah, but why?
Because
like that's the first
because
time.
Anybody walks in a room and her ears are exposed, they can't handle it. They're too fine. They're too exceptional.
That's why they have to look away. It's like looking at the sun.
Yeah. Well, that's why she has to do the knots. So they're brought to the knots instead of her ears, because her ears have a power like Grey Dalsenti-ish type of power, where they hold control over you. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's got those GD. She's got those Grey Dalsenti ears.
I get it. You guys ever seen a girl with a really nice set of ears?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. I can't stop looking at them.
We talked about this before. It's really more so like that they're not big and floppy and like out. I mean, that's for anybody. Anybody that has like gigantic ears, you're like, wow, or cauliflower ear or something that noticeable. Outside of that, it's like, don't look weird.
I don't know,
You know
man.
what I'm saying? It's not.
I like a really big floppy set of ears that are always out. Personally.
Yeah.
Big Dumbo guy?
He watched Dumbo as a kid and got sexually aroused, and it's fucking changed his whole game up as he got older.
Wow.
It's fucking stuck with him.
Wow.
Uh-huh. I like giant ears.
Very
I like to smother myself in ears. I motorboat ears.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, there's some soft mixed in with kind of hard.
The visual image of motorboating ears just fucking made me laugh. Fuck, it's so weird.
It is. It's interesting that it even goes here. You know, like it goes in this direction. Now that I think about it, like that they even like that Bast has a thing for it, and that they're all talking about it. But I said that before. I've read stories where there is a focal point on a woman's ears. Like, it's a
I think
thing
it was
for people.
Rothfuss. It was Rothfuss like testing the water, putting the toe in. He's like, "Is my ear fetish weird? Let's see.
Let's see how much
So the
See
cloak
how people react to it."
He's doing it with cloaks. He's doing it with ear fetishes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. He keeps dipping his toe in his weird fetishes.
So it's another merch thing. We'll have it's hard to wear a fake. So now I think of like Charlie's uncle with the fake hands that he wears over his hands. So if you have like too small ears, you could wear nicer ears over your ears.
According to Fitz, you need a shirt with Dumbo ears. A girl
big
with fucking
floppy.
Dumbo
Big
ears.
floppy.
Huge ones.
The bigger the better, huh, Fitz?
Yeah, that's right. But you guys,
Is it like a sign of? It's just like a sign of not fertility. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, a sign of like being able to provide for children.
Do you know what a good listener that mom would be? Hey, do you? All right. So back on a more serious note, like, did you guys get the sense that because Bast is like, no, she wasn't that hot, Kvothe, that it totally ruins? Because I thought Kvothe's description was going well, and he totally sidesteps himself and second guesses himself, and
I definitely like the tension between them. There's a definite like Kvothe stops, kind of looking at him like, "What? What'd you say about my girl, bro?" Like, it's interesting. They're back and forth. Yeah, it's interesting. And it does stop him in his tracks, and then he has to like kind of rethink the whole thing. I think. Yeah, no, I think
he can't gather himself. He can't gather himself the rest of the time.
Well, it's one of those things like you don't want to tell like your friends that their girlfriends are ugly. Like I would never say, the truth about your guys' wives.
Jesus, what the fuck?
Like that would be over the top.
What's wrong with you?
You just keep that down. You just
By the
bury that
way,
down.
my wife has exceptionally nice ears.
Yes.
Great ears.
My wife has giant ears.
Not as good a listener as you might think, but really nice looking ears. But
But no, I didn't think.
This is so weird.
I did. Oh God, fucking Fitz's wife getting her ears motorboated at night. It'd be a terrible experience.
No, so I do definitely appreciate what Kvothe's struggling with here, where he's like, I can't. This has been happening for we're 400, almost 420 pages in, and he's been building to being able to describe this woman. He's been trying for a while and like building himself into it, and so now we get like now he's going to do it, and he even has to rip up a page. He has to like threaten Chronicler with his eyes. I mean, he has to like even when he finally does get something down, he almost like still wants to like rip it up. Like he can't do her justice. Which I mean, all of this speaks to his infatuation with her. That's just unquenching. It's on another level.
So
yeah, he's madly in love with her. I did Fitz though. I did not get that it was Bast that threw him off. I think it's she throws him off. And
yeah.
and we see that through their interactions together. He's always doubting himself, thinking he made the wrong move, questioning everything he says to her. So I don't think it was Bast saying she had a crooked nose or whatever. Like, I don't think that threw him off. It's just, I think they're what it points towards is something really bad happened, and now that when he goes and tries to talk about her, I think the fact that he might have something where he's trying to explain why he did what he did, and in order to really understand it, you have to understand how madly, deeply in love he is with this chick. And so I think that's the trouble that he's having, is trying to grasp how he he sees her in his mind.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. And if I could take that just a step further real quick, Tim. So because of his own insecurity now of how much he's in love with her, okay? I'm taking into account what the things that have just come up, okay? With the him calling her beautiful, and I'm thinking that he thinks she's very beautiful, but it may have something to do with her casting a spell with her yellowish knots. Just leave that as an aside. So whatever has happened is a bad thing, or at least a catastrophic thing in his own life between him and her. And so now that he's having to describe her, and Bast immediately jumping in and saying, well, she wasn't that beautiful. I don't want to put it all on Bast that he's thinking that is throwing him off, that she's not beautiful, but maybe it's throwing a wrench in his shit, because what he's really realizing is, man, she had me fucked up. And maybe this is all just a maybe, that she's the one who maybe betrayed him, and she had him on a hook. You know what I'm saying? She had him on that line and was kind of dragging him along, and him realizing from just what Bass said that she wasn't actually that beautiful. Maybe he's kind of realizing, because he does say it. Well, I gotta say, other people thought she was beautiful too. And she was at least pretty, but oh no, she was most beautiful to me. Like all that shit. Kind of what it, to me, at least when I was listening to it this time, I was on a wave of thinking that maybe Kvothe is realizing that Denna had him over a barrel the whole time.
Well, there are some qualifiers that get thrown in, right, in terms of, there's more to it than just the surface and that type of stuff. And I think there is something to be said for those Illushnots as well. But a lot of it goes back to the situation, how young he was when he first met her, the great connection they had from the beginning, and the great connection they always have. So, yes, he's under a spell. He's in love with her. He's like madly in love with her. Couple things that I took away, though, is one, fella sounds more attractive physically. Right? I mean, that's kind of how it reads to me. That's one side of it. But speaking to what you were just speaking of, something that reminded me of Elodin was Bast's description of, she smiled at me, and it's like she smiles into you, or something. I don't remember. Yeah, she smiled at me. It had a sort of, it went right down into you, if you understand me. So that gave me a feeling like what you hear with Elodin when he speaks, and these there's I don't think it's just Elodin. There's a few characters that have those abilities.
Well, you get that in real life. Like if you're hanging around a girl that's, you think is, when you first see her, you don't think much of it, or you're like, she's all right, she's not bad looking. But then she can hang out and she can be one of the boys, and like legit one of the boys, not like a girl that like, I like football, and then that doesn't really understand football and is just like playing a role, but like can actually hang out and be one of the boys. Like she can go from, when you first see her, she's a 7, and then starts hanging out and you're like, this chick's fucking cool as fuck. She's like a 9. Like she amps up because of her charisma, her personality,
Fun to be around.
Like, especially for him, like she knows all these different plays. She's able to sing.
Well, she can keep up with him. She can keep up with his shit, and they have that back and forth, and they have so much in common. I mean, that's what we've been talking about. Is like clearly they had similar backgrounds. Both don't have somewhere to go back to. Yeah, it's they have a lot that holds them together. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a large part of the attraction. Beyond, he obviously thinks she's good looking. I mean, from the first time he saw her, before he ever spoke to her, he thought she was attractive.
It's interesting that he toys with these ideas of like, if I say this, it'll seem trivial. If I say that, it just seem like I'm just trying to be poetic. And then he actually says her eyes were dark as chocolate, dark as coffee. And it's like, I mean, that's like, that feels like just like superficial. You know what I mean? But I think that's very intentional because it is difficult, and it speaks to how difficult it is to, describe someone physically, which is what's so great about what Patty's done thus far. He hasn't tried to do that, so it's been left to our open minds. And even when he does attempt to do it, we still get to see Denna in the way that we see her.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, if you say this girl had brown hair and she was beautiful, like everybody's just gonna picture their own brown hair beautiful girl, and like you don't really need to do any more than that. But like if you're like, her eyes were perfect oval, she had asymmetry in her ears, and a nose that was like pointy, and like then like you start like trying to nail down every little point, and her jawline and her fucking hair was done like this, and like once you try to narrow it down, then you just start losing it, because then you make it too specific in someone's mind, where then they're trying to paint a picture of this girl instead of just picturing what they think is a beautiful girl that has this color hair. And so he does a good job in not giving too much detail.
Well, it's really interesting in how he does it here too, because he does do that to a degree, but he says her jawline is strong but delicate. So it's like you can still sort of picture her a little bit further, but those are just positive qualities, So, and then like with her lips, and just it's interesting how he does it, because he does it in ways that are, well, again, it's coming from the mind and the mouth of a guy that's madly in love with her as well. So that all you have to take, and that's what's great about Bast here, is he's checking that to a degree. He's making us recognize that these descriptions are really, again, someone who's under a trance.
Yeah. You guys are making excellent points, because as I read through it this time, or listened to it, I wanted Kvothe to finish describing her and not be distracted. But when he gathers himself, what seems like maybe he's not gathered, that he's, what I first took as that he was dancing around himself. He actually did gather himself, didn't he? And said, as an author, as a great describer, let's leave it to these matter of fact points, and let the reader visualize what she actually was, because it is a matter of perspective, as everything is.
Well, and to be able to take it further, I love like this type of judicious, description of, no matter where she stood, she was in the center of the room. Do not misunderstand. She was not loud or vain. We stare at a fire because it flickers, because it glows. The light is what catches our eyes. But what makes a man lean close to a fire has nothing to do with its bright shape. What draws you to a fire is the warmth you feel when you come near. The same was true of Denna. And then as he tries to continue, his expression is twisted. Like he tries to go further, and he can't do it. It's like everything he tries to say, and then he even says, "Dude, what am I doing?" Like he's like, "What good can come of this? I can't do any of this." And I think that's when he gets up and like tears the paper and everything.
But yeah, I I didn't have any other points on that chapter.
I had one thing, and I don't know if there will be much to come of even bringing it up, but I thought it was kind of interesting because it speaks to Kvothe and kind of where he's at now. But when he's hemming and hawing and trying to deal with the idea of description, says there's no sense worrying, I suppose. Kvothe said at last, if I ruin this as well, it will be a small thing as far as the world is concerned. So, I mean, in his mind, it's like, if I ruin this, it's like, I guess, again, that just speaks to he's at fault.
Yeah.
For the state of the world.
He's clearly responsible, or at least he believes himself responsible, and it's not like Bast ever corrects him when he says, like, this is all my fault. Bast isn't like, no, it's not your fault. So, yeah. I think it's clearly he's at least plays a huge role in shit getting fucked up.
Okay, so chapter 58 is titled Names for Beginnings. In this chapter, Kvothe gives an extensive description of how he felt when he sees Denna and specifically when she smiles at him. Denna and Kvothe exchange niceties and flirt even as her date, Savoy, shows up. They both kind of pretend that they have never met before. Kvothe believes Denna doesn't remember him. She tells him her name is Diane, and Kvothe then, after they have pretty good back and forth, Kvothe awkwardly says goodbye, or maybe not even awkwardly, but he just second guesses himself over and over. So then in chapter 59, all this knowing, Kvothe heads back downstairs and he gets all drunk with his buddies, Sam and Willem, and they head back to the university.
I think she definitely does not pretend that she doesn't know Kvothe. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Like, she knows who he is. That's why she goes running over to him. He just does not interpret things correctly, and he constantly misinterprets her signals. I mean, I think her signals are pretty fucking clear for the reader, but for him, they are not clear at all. Like, he misinterprets all of them.
She at least pretends for Savoy, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
like, I think she doesn't bring up the fact that she knew him. But no, I don't think she plays at. They're playing at they do this little, every time they talk to each other, they do this little dance. They're doing like a dance with each other where they're choosing the words very judiciously, and they're trying to say the right thing at the right time. They're trying to be clever. They're trying to be witty. They seem to be overly concerned with every word that fucking comes out of their mouth, especially Kvothe. Less so her, but she's also a little bit like that.
It's a mix of like one-upmanship and just playfulness.
Yeah.
Like they're playing a game.
Well,
yeah.
I agree. But why I say that she pretends, at least for Savoy, is because of the whole name thing. Because she's like, oh, well, Savoy will give me your name. And
well, think about it like this. I mean, what's interesting to me, because when she runs up to him, it's clear to us as readers that she remembers him. But the fact that he doesn't act, the way that he acts in reaction, makes her think that he might not remember her.
Right.
No, I mean, wouldn't that be the impression that would be given?
I agree.
So he backfires on himself.
I thought when she first runs up to him, I did not think that she was pretending that she didn't know him. Kvothe immediately assumes that she wouldn't remember him for no good reason. She runs up to him and gushes over, like she has to stop herself before she tackles him, basically.
Well, he, in his mind, when he first sees her, he dreads the idea that she wouldn't remember him. And then he is no...
Well, no, it doesn't say that. It was the reason he didn't think she remembered him is because she didn't say his name. And she didn't mention their time together. But neither did he.
No, but I mean, he thinks that in his mind. He's like, would she even remember me? The awkward boy she had known for a few days so long ago. So he thinks that when he sees her. I mean, he goes through this whole thing when he first sees her before she looks up. But then her reaction, what we read, is she absolutely remembers him, but he doesn't see that.
No, and like she doesn't have the same issues that he does, because later on when she just matter-of-factly talks about their time together, when she was like, "You've already said the 7 words. You remember when we first met and you asked me and then he was like, "Oh, I didn't think you remembered." She's like, "What?" Like it to
like,
her, it hadn't occurred. She was like, "Of course we know each other. Like, why wouldn't we know each other?" Like, she's not as in her head as Kvothe is in his head. She just felt like they knew each other and all that. And then Kvothe was like, "Well, you didn't mention it," and she's like, "Well, you didn't mention it either. So I guess I could have thought the same thing." But she's not that insecure.
Yeah, this is again one of those examples where he thinks too much, and he worries too much, and he dreads too much, and he gets in his own way of things being smoother than they could have been. Or what? Yeah.
But
and it actually goes well. The conversation actually is a good back and forth between them, but it doesn't just stop with Kvothe thinking that she doesn't know him. It continues on to Kvothe thinking that he's messed up, not said the right things, and continues to he's like, I just had to get out of there towards the end because he thinks that he's saying all these silly things.
He's always like that with her. I mean, their interactions are always great. Like, I mean, it's like, man, you guys clearly have a great rapport, and but he just,
it's very natural.
He's so insecure and like always self-doubting. Like, I don't read that he's doing anything wrong, and I don't read that she thinks that. She clearly doesn't. She goes looks for him, and she's excited when she sees him, and so she doesn't think that, but he's not picking up on any of the clues.
Oh, you know what? And that major clue that she gives, he blatantly says, "I didn't know what that." When Savoy grabs her arm and like leads her back to the table, like, "This girl's mine," she like looks back at Kvothe and gives him a shrug with her eyes that to me clearly say like, "Sorry, dude, it's not what you think," or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, which I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah. He misreads it completely.
Yeah, and every fucking guy, every other guy reading the book, well, any guy that's like, seen a girl with a dude that she's not really into, like they know that look. It's like, it's not my dude. He thinks he's my dude, but he's not my dude.
Right. That's exactly right, Dan.
Yeah, it's again very telling that he even says, "I had no idea," or something like that. Like he literally had no idea what the look meant. It's like, dude. Well, but yeah, again,
but,
he's young,
I mean,
so.
again, he's 15, but it's a different. Yeah. I mean, they're hanging out at bars, they're drinking, they're getting drunk. They're a more advanced 15 than our world 15.
So when he first like runs into her and she stumbles into him, that whole thing where he describes his feeling like ice splintering under your feet and like the fracturing, it's pretty great, man. Like he's got he can wax some poetic shit, but like the imagery, it all ties together really, really nicely. It's a really cool description.
Yeah.
So I can say, I'll just say this. The imagery was nice, but I didn't relate to the actual feeling. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me being like hard-headed or something, but like, how did he describe what it actually made him feel like when he
said he felt like the ice. He felt like the ice cracking.
Because
and the only thing that kept him from breaking apart was, all the pieces were pushing against each other. I don't know. I've never felt like that. No girl's ever like tripped me up like that.
Yeah, like maybe that she could destroy him. I'm just trying to understand. Like, is it
I
that
can
he's
understand,
so in love, or could she destroy him?
I think it speaks to like ultimate vulnerability. Like this is his biggest dream, his biggest hope or dream, and at the same time could crush his fucking spirit. I don't know. I mean, it's hard because I haven't had that feeling either. But the way,
that makes sense.
like just the imagery itself. I enjoy just the idea. It's one of those things that, like, if you have ever stood on a lake where it's fine to walk out and then you start to feel it where it's not, and that unsuredness, yeah, or whatever the word would be, the uncertainty, and like the pending threat of what could happen. But then he even checks that and says, it's not like she was underneath me and blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm the ice and I'm fracturing. And just the idea that it's all holding together by like just the force itself being pushed against each other. I just like the imagery. I just thought it's a
Tim,
really cool thing to sit with.
I think you're right on with that, and I actually can relate to that. A vulnerability to a woman that makes more sense. That it's not. I think I got wrapped up in the description of the fracturing ice and only being.
It's a
able
delicate. I mean, it's a hard thing to describe. It's a delicate thing he's
really
trying
is.
to describe. It's a difficult feeling and situation, and like an awareness that he's trying to.
It's
like,
fucking deep, is what it is.
Yeah, it is, and then he's doing it on a surface level, which is physical, that we can. So he's pulling on all those things and putting them together into a feeling that is palpable for the reader. It's impressive. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and I like that when he's talking about all the things that his mom taught him about chivalry and that kind of stuff. Like, that's a great way to fall back on when you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I like that aspect because I think it even applies to today, even though we don't have these extravagant fucking, bowing down and fucking kissing the hand and all that kind of stuff. We still have a semblance of that. Like, I will tell people, like, if you want to know how to go up to strangers, read like, question-based selling and understand, like, I would have routines when I was younger where I would go in and I would have just like a set of questions I would ask.
Yeah.
And the questions weren't really important. It was just the icebreaker. It was just, I would ask questions and question until I until I hit a trigger, until an actual conversation could start. But like, I had my basic, routine where, I would go in and it was just icebreakers without doing what it was, the angels falling from fucking the sky, those stupid fucking pickup lines.
Well, I mean, think about what so many women have said about men that they enjoy being around. Oh, he's such a good listener. That's what you're accomplishing when you're asking all these questions. You're just getting them talking, and people like to talk about themselves, or at least like to talk, like to be in a conversation. It's, we had a great conversation. It was really interesting. What'd you talk about? Talk about myself.
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
talked about
100%.
was me. Oh, he's we're interested in the same things. No, you just talked.
Yeah. The reason it would work is because you're not talking about yourself, because if you're meeting a stranger, you're meeting someone for the first time, they don't want to know about you. They want to talk about themselves. They want to tell you about them. And so you would give them that opportunity, and you would just ask questions until you found like the hot button, like something they wanted to talk about, where you found their interest.
It's interesting because there's a few things that can be done there. Is you can talk about what they want to talk about, or you can find something that they want to talk about that you also are interested in talking about.
Well, that's the goal. Yeah,
from there.
You just keep asking questions until a conversation can start. But like that's what I get out of that, is like, because that's how I rolled. It was just that it was a routine in the beginning, but the routine was to get you into a conversation where you could be real. It wasn't like, like the pickup fucking artist stupid shit where
it's people letting their guard down.
Yeah, where you're just playing a fucking role and you're not being yourself. It was, no, you have a routine. The routine is to get you into a conversation so you can see if you guys connect and you guys have anything in common, if it's worthwhile pursuing. But you have to get past that initial awkwardness of you're just going up to a stranger who you've never spoken to before, and you have to have some way of breaching that distance. And so having some kind of routine, whether it's like this, where, in the book, it's this chivalry aspect where you're bowing, you're kissing the hand and that kind of thing. It's to get the ball rolling. And so I think it even pertains in the world today. You always have to have that way of getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Good comparison. I had a similar note where this is one of the first times I've been able to fully understand the utility in court manners. Because it's always seemed kind of just otherworldly to me whenever I've seen this in movies, where it's just like, what are these guys doing? I mean, it's like to a degree, it always seemed like everybody's just patting themselves on the back for being wealthy. Right, everybody's dressed up to the nines, and let's all just move around to this music that's being played for us. We look at how much money we have, sort of situation. But it's a display of sophisticatedness, I guess, and manners in itself, and just showing how to act in the situation, right? And for Kvothe, why it's so great in this moment is he can't pull himself together, so just do what he needs to do to then get to where he's comfortable, and it works.
Yeah, just gives him that beat, that breath where he can fucking overcome being tongue-tied and give himself, a couple breaths to figure out what he wants to fucking say.
It's great too, man, because they go right back into what has been their thing all along, which is he goes looking for her, she goes looking for him, nobody finds each other, they both give up, now they find each other, and then they both play that same thing where it's like, where have you been? Or like, are you up here alone? It's like, well, I was alone. And it's like, well, I've been looking for you for hours. It's like they're both looking for each other. It's just great how that always plays out that way.
Their interactions, like they speak in verse to each other. They quote fucking lines, and she knows the lines that he's quoting. She knows the plays that he's quoting from. And so she's able to demonstrate that she's his counterpoint. Like, she's a perfect counterpoint to him. Like, if you were going to invent a girl that would wrap up Kvothe, I think Rothfuss did a good job in inventing that perfect girl. Like, for whatever, complaints people have about Denna, I think if you were looking for a girl that was going to fucking trip up him, she checks all the boxes that you would want. Dude.
She's perfect. And what I love about their whole interaction here too is he shows he has nothing to offer her, so he gives her the best thing he's accomplished, which is his talent pipes. Here you go, take them.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I can't
without
take
question,
that.
without even thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he explains, like, no, this is what I have to offer you. Unless you want my loot, but I'll give you either of these things. And it's like, Jesus, dude. Like, she's like, whoa, what the? Like, so taken aback because she's like, wait. Then she kind of has to, like, step back and look at him like, I think this dude's serious. And then she has that great line where it's like, I think you might actually be a remarkable person or something like that. I think you might be a wonderful
person. Yeah.
It's great the way that's stated, because how he builds to it, that line is quite meaningful rather than just being, something that you would just say at a different point.
And it's not, fucking scummy. It's not like he's like fucking doing it to fucking get her in bed. It is just a genuine offer with expecting nothing in return.
Yeah.
It's just his appreciation for what she did and his expression of, what she is to him.
It's a great act to show a lot about the two of them. Because what we've talked about many times, where Kvothe seems to feel like he doesn't have things to offer people. So he has this low self-worth, but they have this connection of what they both just accomplished together. And she's kind of revealing she's not used to people being this generous freely without something to be expected in exchange.
Yeah, Kvothe definitely feels deep down, from what we can tell, that he owes her this, or that he feels that he can atone for what she's given him at this point. Of course, it may just be that he's so in love with her, he wants to give her something. But it seems like Kvothe genuinely feels like there is much her pipes as his.
I think it also speaks to what Dan's said in the past, which is like he dreams big. He'll go all in, man. Like I think this kind of, at least to me, it kind of speaks to that, where he's like, "This is it. This is my world. Here it is."
Yeah,
I think that's part of it. You know?
It wasn't like he was going looking for her and like, how can I repay her? I'll give her my fucking talent pipes. It was just like in that moment. And it's also brought up when he's like, I'll do anything. And then Savoy is like, well, be careful. She'll ask you to go get a leaf from the laughing tree or the singing tree or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, I would do it. And he's like, and I meant it. Like he legit would do anything for this fucking chick.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because he's surprised to find that he actually meant it.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare, man, to like read. When I read that, I'm like, that's kind of a rare moment, at least, I don't know, for me, where you get that. There's like another element of experience that's accomplished there where it's, you're, I mean, we're in his mind. I get that and all, but that was pretty great. To get that sort of epiphany moment.
So I'd like to kind of put this in perspective, like that this is the second time Kvothe has even met her, but more importantly, are you guys interested at all at how drawn Kvothe is just to go find his Elohim, and how in his own head about it he is that to find her. He doesn't even, I mean, we know it's Denna. He doesn't even know it's Denna. He wants to find that girl so bad. You know what I mean? It happens to turn out to be
Keep
Denna.
it in mind, though, like, when he's going to perform this, his fucking nuts are on the line. Like, if he doesn't get his talent pipes, he does not see any way he can continue at the university. And the university is obviously immensely important to him because he's trying to learn things. To basically, it's in the back of his mind, but he's wanting to get revenge on the Chandrian, and he can't do that without the university. And he's about to lose it, and then she comes in and saves his motherfucking ass. And so, yeah, he's going to be immensely thankful to someone who fucking saved him in that way.
Well, but I agree, yes. But so just the occurrence of the fact that he went in there, musician that he is, going in to perform one of the greatest songs that is a duet. So he went in knowing that he was going to rely on someone. He went in knowing that his nuts were on the line, so on and so forth. He could have done a number of songs by himself and at least showcased his talent. I don't think that he thought that he needed to rely on somebody else in order to survive and get his talent pipes.
It's really
I'm not saying that he. I'm not saying that he needed to.
He's not saying he.
I'm not saying he needed to rely on it. I'm saying that her jumping in helped him get his talent pipes, and she just relieved a massive amount of pressure from him. So he's going to be extremely grateful for. It didn't matter who the girl was. Any girl who fucking saved him from that terrible situation, he was going to be extremely grateful. So I think, like, when he's going to look for her, it's out of a feeling of gratefulness. It's only when he sees it's Denna that it goes to like a whole other level.
Well, I think it's also, I think it's not, it is gratefulness. It's also, what's really interesting, if he didn't build out the lay of Sir Savian Trailiard as much as he did, it kind of doesn't make sense that Kvothe would do a duet, given he's never played with anyone else since he was in the troupe. That's the only time. Other than that, it's always him playing by himself. I don't think in the rest of the two books, he doesn't play with anybody else. I mean, he doesn't have, he doesn't play in a band, right? There's never an accompaniment outside of this one time with Denna. So it's kind of outside of character for him to do it in the first place. But Rothfuss builds up the song so much and layers out, this is the song. This is like,
and he builds up the Aeolian as like the place where like there would be talent there to do it.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm getting at maybe is just the fact that this whole scene, not only his it being Denna, but the fact that he did delay Sir Sabian relying on somebody else to get his talent pipes, throwing it out there in a kind of a un-Kvothe type of way, leaving it to someone else to save the song. Maybe that it just lends to the mysticism of, or the whatever it is. I can't, this same coincidences that keep coming up in the book, people happening upon each other at the right times. It lends to that.
Yeah, like, like we've talked about that. Like, I don't know with Denna. Like, all the other coincidences you bring up, I don't think are coincidences. But with Denna, I don't know. I mean, could be she's there for a specific reason. It's very hard to tell. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion on, is Denna a member of the Chandrian? Is Denna a member of, this group or that group? Or like there's plenty of speculation on what the fuck's up with Denna. It's just hard to fucking pin down because there's just not enough information yet.
So I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just every situation when we go into it where it's a coincidence when we go into it. It's nothing's when we first hear about it, like this scenario, it's a coincidence. Whether she's a Chandrian, I don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was when Chronicler happened upon him in the woods. You know what I'm saying, Dan? I'm just saying these instances come up. They may or may not be explained right away, but the happenstance is kind of a consistent theme.
Well, yeah, man.
And I think we should but I think we should look at it as more than just a coincidence.
Well, I mean,
no, I agree, and that's why we do. We do that with Chronicler.
He goes to the Mothin farm, and Denna's there. Like, what's the chances of that? I mean,
exactly.
The odds are ridiculous.
Yeah, and so like I mean, we can fucking pinpoint why Chronicler's there, and then we have good guess what that he could be part of the Amir, that he's working with Scarpy. We have good guesses on why Scarpy is going to go into that bar to fucking tell those stories. We have good guesses on a lot of different fucking characters and why they show up when they show up. With Denna, it's
a harder guess, isn't it?
It's tougher because there's not enough information yet. So I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like it could very well be that there's something under the surface. It could be she's part of a group like the Chandrian or somebody else, something else. I don't think she'd be with the Amir, but she could be part of some kind of group, or it could be some reason that she went there on purpose, that she was there specifically to help him get his talent pipes. The Mothin farm, and my gut tells me that she just happened to be at the Aeolian that night. I think the reason she was at the farm is because of her patron. I think the reason she was with the mayor is because of her patron. I think her patron is the bigger mystery than her couple chance encounters with her. I feels like Kvothe and her are just drawn to each other like magnets. There's a lot of the discussions about these things being drawn to each other, and I just think they're two of those characters that are just drawn to each other.
They do seem, like Lodenstones, or you know what it could be. She is a descendant of Piriel. She got that poontang.
Yeah, he's all about that. He's like Telu.
She could potentially have her
return to Piriel's poontang.
Yeah.
She could potentially have her patron at this point too, though, right? Just not saying anything.
No, I don't believe so. No.
Well,
it doesn't seem
I think
like
it's
it.
I don't know.
Based
what
on
it seems like to me is
their meeting, like in the description of her meeting her patron, like we don't see it firsthand, but we hear about it, and it does not seem like it does not seem like that that was a red herring. It seems like that was actually her first meeting with her patron, and I think that's Kvothe was supposed to meet up with Denna that day. And then the bone tar incident happened, and so he had to save Fella, and he got hurt, and so he wasn't able to meet up with Denna. And then Denna met her patron that night, and that's what makes me think that her patron might have had something to
do with the bone tar.
I'm more curious about her patron. I think her patron might have had something to do with the fire, and he was trying to get Kvothe out of the way, and then he is also putting her in positions where she's interacting with Kvothe and at times in places that he wants.
Yeah,
her patron's even got her singing a song making Haliax a heroic figure, Lanre a heroic figure, knowing that this would be like fucking salt in the wound of Kvothe. So I think I'm more interested in her patron than her as far as the coincidences.
So let's assume that because of that, I don't know. I could really just play 10 ways around devil's advocate around this situation. So I guess I'll just stick with it's more than a coincidence. Almost every time that Kvothe meets Denna, and I'll include the first time. The way that they happen upon each time is just, it gets more and more, the happenstance of it gets more and more less likely, I guess.
You would think like if it was all part of a plan, like by her, that he would.
I don't mean by her.
I know. I'm saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm just saying, if it was a part of a plan by her, and she was like fucking trapping Kvothe, and she was like fucking honeypotting him.
Yeah.
That he would have more animosity towards her. That when he was describing her in the last chapter, that it wouldn't be like this romantic fucking, oh, this girl's so fucking perfect and I can't fucking describe in words. It'd be like, no, fuck that bitch. She fucking
bitch, right?
played games with me. She fucked my mind up. That fucking whore. Like, he would have some animosity, but he does not seem to have that. And so I don't get the impression through 2 books. I would be very shocked if she is fucking manipulating him. I think they are both being manipulated.
Yeah.
I think they're both being manipulated.
I think there's a good chance of that. I think they're both being utilized by a larger power and being wielded and brought together for reasons that we have yet to find out. But
that's
to
the
crash
answer,
the world, apparently open the door, to open the box, to use Pirill's poontang to open that lackless box and lackless door and let out the shamelmen that stumble out of her vagina.
The Skrill.
Yeah, we're just waiting to find
so the
Skrill
are just
Tonto's
really
fucking
crabs.
Supervillain is.
Fitz. The Skrill are crabs.
Giant crabs. Imperial's poontang.
That's gross. Yeah, that got really gross. I thought I was gonna. Yeah,
you always gotta fucking ruin it.
You're
always having a fun time.
Well, I was making
you take it to some gross level.
I was making the connection, and then as soon as I said it out loud, I was like, "Ugh, that's gross." Because I started to picture it, and it became a lot grosser. One thing I did really. Something I've noticed over time that I like about with Denna, Kvothe has all these women in his life. He never really talks about a smell except for Denna. It's always Denna. There's a smell like heather or green grass or the open road after a light spring rain. It's interesting that when he talks about Denna and her smells sound like his youth. Smells like the road as they travel.
Or a barn. Isn't Heather hay?
It's
I don't know what it is.
No, it's like hay flour. It's like flour from hay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, you know what
her breath, was it like Cheerios? Her breath smells like Cheerios?
No, you know when you have when you buy like a floral display, it's the white little bullshit.
The little bitty ones. Baby's breath.
That's hay. Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I always like when they talk about that, they're like road dust and sweat and all that. Like my mind always goes to like, so she smells like she needs a shower.
That's right.
He didn't say BO. He didn't say like she smells like BO.
Well, I'm just saying, like, do you ever like think of someone who's like fucking been grinding and working hard and fucking out on the road, and then you're just like, delicious. It's like, no, go fucking take a shower, man. You've been sweating all day.
Dude, he's entranced, man. Her sweat smells great.
Yeah.
Her sweat is delicious, because it's hers. That's he's all in, man.
Girl, you smell like a wet dog. Get over here.
But
gross.
A wet dog.
A wet dog.
I do like that connection though. It smells like his only home he knows, right?
Yeah.
Was like the road was traveling.
And it's where he first met her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think that the root.
So he's got that nostalgia, much. Like he's got some nostalgia towards, that aroma.
Yeah, because and then he also, he doesn't have any piece of that life left. It's just his identity. That's what he has. All of it's gone. It's in him, but he doesn't have anything, left that takes him back there. And Denna's one of the only links to that past.
Yeah, the only other thing I was going to bring up on this chapter was Savoy giving him the fucking stink eye. Like, dude, like, hey, enough flirting with my fucking girl, dick. Like, fucking get the fuck out of here, man. What are you doing? Like, he already, like, he comes in, he puts his arm around her immediately, like, fucking starts laying, fucking pissing on her, fucking laying his fucking claim to her.
Yeah, like the whole
dog,
thing.
And then, like, then they have their flirting back and forth, whispering in each other's ears, telling their names, and like then he's like, "Yeah, all right, dude,
what's your name? No, what's your name?
Yeah,
dude,
get the fuck out of here, dude."
Even his entrance, he comes up, he's like, "There you are," and he's like, "Ghost, like here I am."
Like, and Kvothe in his mind is like, "I can't believe this dude would fucking come fuck up my game. I'm spitting game to this girl. This fucking dude's gonna go fucking step on my feet." What's his fucking problem?
He puts his arm around her, and she immediately pushes his arm down. Like no.
She puts her hand over his. Like she grasps his hand. She doesn't push it away.
I thought when he put it on her hip, she pushed it off.
She's fucking smooth. Wow, she wouldn't do that.
She always
smooth.
she's always plays the role with him. But yeah, it's funny.
Like Savoy made a mistake. Like when we learn more about Denna, like Savoy made a mistake. Like him laying claim to her is going to be a huge turnoff for her.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but they all do.
But she's not going to show that.
Yeah.
She's a hustler. So
what's Savoy's status? Do we even know?
Yeah, he's a noble. He's very wealthy noble.
Okay. Whether it's a turnoff for Denna or not, she's there for the.
She's hustling. She's hustling.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because this is one of the first examples we get of it, but it plays out time and time again, where it's these dudes are always like putting their arm around her, or it's like trying to sneak in like a little kiss and all this stuff, like trying to make her property, and she just doesn't. She doesn't move away from it, but she also doesn't, fully lay into it. It's really
she doesn't respect it, and she doesn't. It once they try to make her like property, she's clearly like, this dude's a mark.
Well, that's like in her mind. We know that in her mind, but she doesn't necessarily show it in the moment.
Yeah.
The great thing is every time Kvothe is there, he's getting all of her attention. And she's checking in every little bit with the dude so he doesn't feel completely left alone. But the desperation on these guys is fantastic, man.
But that's what I love, though, about, like, Kvothe. When Savoy walks up, he's thinking, like, all right, dude, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Fucking up my game. And then once Kvothe realizes that Savoy is with her, Kvothe doesn't just dip out. He keeps fucking spitting game and is like, now you're Savoy. You were like, why is Savoy fucking up my game? And then you are fucking just continuing to fuck up Savoy's game by, like, you're spitting poetry to her, you're whispering in her ear. Like, dude, you're like if you were gonna give your friend a middle finger, like, Kvothe was definitely fucking treading on flipping Savoy off, and then finally, once Savoy, like, gave him the fucking stink eye, then he was like, oh, okay, I am pushing this. I'm pushing our friendship.
It's almost like a delusional attitude that Kvothe has towards Denna. He's already so head over heels for her.
Well, I think most guys have been in a situation where they like a girl and one of their friends likes a girl, and then there's that fucking when the girl is not making it clear that she likes one over the other. Yeah. And she's, like, kind of fucking sitting on the fence in between. And so then there's that battle, like, who's going to give first. And so it could cause a strain if you don't have a good friendship. And, you know, you're not willing to, one of you's got to be willing to be like, dude, all right, yeah, it seems like she likes you more. Fucking go. Or you need it more. Go.
That's the point. It's more like at some point you're like, dude, I really don't care that much.
Yeah, you need it more.
Yeah.
No, it's an interesting little dilemma to deal with. That's always I haven't thought about that in such a long time. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing where everybody's sizing each other up in the beginning, and then it's kind of like, she's not really my type anyway. Go ahead, or or it doesn't go that way. So It's always quite interesting. His exit,
or you do it just because you don't like the guy. You're like, fuck this guy.
Oh yes, I've done that.
I'm going to do it. Probably most of my relationships that I've had that kind of a battle is because I just don't like that fucking guy.
Dude,
I'm better than him.
Plenty of those where it's like someone will say, "Yeah, you can't get with her," and that's the whole reason why I even started the whole mess to begin with. Was all just that.
I remember a situation that stuck with me really hard. Like when I was a young man, like 14 as a freshman, and I was trying after some, random sophomore girl, and he's like, well, dude, don't you think that she's a little bit out of your league? I was like, no, actually, I've never thought that anyone is out of my league. But
that's a surefire way to get me like, all right, well, I'll crack the code. I will figure this out. You think she's out of my league? I will figure this out for sure. But yeah, there's always I've had that where a certain person in the group where it's like, nah, you're not winning this battle, bro. I'll figure this out. But what I was gonna say is his exit is horrible. It's not graceful at all. He says,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, man, every time I've heard someone like they're trying to like leave, blah blah blah, I should get back downstairs. I've got important people to meet. I'm always like, ugh, what a douche. Like, just leave. You don't have to fucking say shit like that.
Here's the thing, like that's the kind of shit I would say to someone, but they would know I'm not fucking serious.
Well, that's different. If you're doing it tongue in cheek and you're doing it as a dry joke, that's different.
That's what he was doing. And Savoy's his friend.
He said he cringed inwardly at the awkwardness of the words. So I don't believe he did that with intention.
We get it, Dan.
But I'm taking the totality of their interaction and their relationships. He is clearly he's over the top. He'd offered her his talent pipes. He'd fucking genuinely offered to fucking go get a leaf off the singing tree. Like, he's clearly shown she's important to him. Savoy knows they're fucking buddies. They have a friendship. There's importance there. So when he's like, I got important people to see, like, they shouldn't, I cannot imagine that they would take offense to that. They would have to know that he's joking.
You think he's joking, though, 100%.
Well, yeah, he even says it. Like, he
does?
says, he meant it to seem witty or it came off, he was disappointed because it came off like boorish or whatever. He's like, I didn't like how that came off. And then, like, when he was like, and she's like, well, I hope to see you again. And he's like, oh, there's always hope. And he's like, I meant that to be witty. He's just doubting himself. I don't think what he said, I didn't have any problem with what he said. It felt like things I would say to people.
It just seems like he was awkward at that point. That's all.
Yeah, no, I don't think it came out that way. He says, I cringed inwardly at the awkwardness of the words as soon as I'd said them, but couldn't think of a less awkward way to take them back.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, when I hear his interactions with Denna later on, he's always second-guessing everything he says. And I'm always like, nah, dude, you're crushing it. What are you talking about? Like, you're fucking nailing it. Like, you're taking, like, your jokes. You're so insecure that when you try to make jokes, that you're so worried that they're not being received in the way you intended them to be received. And I feel like for the relationships that they have, I feel like they probably are aware that they're jokes. Like, I feel like if my friend was like, I got important people to see, I'm not going to be like, oh man, you didn't think I'm important?
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
I think you're right, Dan. I think that at least that it can be interpreted that way. It lends credence to the brilliance of the writing, because there's a lot of openness.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could go either way.
Each person,
yeah,
for each person can kind of interpret a lot of these situations in many different ways, and I think it's intended.
Yeah, could go either way, but I think it shows more Kvothe's insecurities more than his missteps. I don't think he was making missteps. I think it was just demonstrating how insecure he is.
At least it demonstrates his insecurities for sure. How the actual conversation went and Denna's perception of it, who knows? Yeah,
and then in 59, I don't have much say on it. You got the dudes getting fucking drunk and then fucking going back, and it's it's kind of a little short poetic chapter of them walking back, feeling invincible, having a good time, showing their bond. But I didn't have a ton to comment on it, unless you guys got something.
It seems this is wholly Kvothe now, all in like poetic reminiscence. It seems all like it's all nostalgia. Like, he's remembering the time and how great it was and how important the university was to him. And, so he's like romancing the night itself. The night is like warm velvet around them, the stars burning. Like, it just seems very much, I like it in the sense that, it's a great feeling that he got to have at some point in his life. Him and his friends drunk after a great night, walking in, the dark night and, without a care in the world, basically. Pretty great.
Yeah, I actually really like this chapter, and I found it interesting how much trouble Kvothe had describing Denna going into the chapter, and then after having met the chapter, like he could not romanticize that chapter. This one, he completely romanticizes. He gives a great visual. It's a perfect chapter describing how a few drunk guys got back to their house.
Yeah, and he keeps
but I
talking
don't
about
know.
them as the three boys, so he's in a third person element. First, it's I became drunk, but then he's talking of them, of the group of them, and how just how great it was, basically, and
Yeah,
how
and they're how naive they are, how young they are, how it's painting a picture of there's troubles on the horizon that they're not aware of.
It's pretty great, though, because the way that he also states it is the boys know many other things, but none of them seem as important as this, as like what they're doing now.
Right.
And perhaps they are right, which is basically like, maybe this is the peak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is perhaps the best it was, and continue, and we'll see what happens.
He does
to
that
all
a number
us.
of times where like he leaves off a chapter where it was like he does it very early on in book one before he talks about his parents dying. He was like, he does an interlude after like introducing his parents and the troop, and then he's like, all right, now back to it, dark times ahead, trouble times, and so he does that a number of times where he takes a beat, he takes a pause when some good shit happens, and he's like, this was one of those good moments. This is one of my fond memories. Now, shit's about to happen.
All right, then. Chapter 60 is titled Fortune. Kind of a long chapter. Kvothe draws a slot for this 5th day of admissions. He denies a few lowballers to a trade. Then Ambrose comes up and asks him to trade as he insults him. They throw a few insults back and forth. Kvothe ends up selling his spot for 6 jots and then gets a tuition of 6 talents. Kvothe heads back across the river afterwards to get his loot. There he asks Threp and Diak about Denna. Diak knows her, but he doesn't know how to get in contact with her. He also advises Kvothe against fraternizing with her. Then Kvothe heads over to Devi's house to pay off his debt. He actually ends up only paying 2 talents, which pays off the interest on his loan. He then goes back to the university where he pays off Kilvin for his sigildry supplies. Keeps his job there at the fishery. And then he heads to a place in town called the Horse and Four, where he agrees to play 3 nights per span for free room and board, and he gets 2 silver talents in return. He goes to bed that night after having a really good meal there and feeling really relieved.
Yeah, so like right off the bat, you get the interaction between Kvothe and Ambrose, and you get their constant they're constantly biting at each other and constantly fighting with each other, and you get that sense of every time they see each other, they fucking snap at each other, and then they come away from that fucking hating each other just a little bit more, and you definitely get that sense here. He's got the great one where like Ambrose fucking throws out the insult about like Kvothe wearing the same 2 shirts all the time and having to not being able to fucking pay for laundry and having to wash his clothes in a river, and then Kvothe fucking one-ups him with the it's like, nah man, like your clothes are a little too rich for me. He's like, you gotta wear fucking green because you fucking got discharge from fucking
STD.
Yeah, fucking
talks about
like
his,
you
his
fucking
pizzle.
just completely threw it back in his face.
It's a little prequel to the Pizzle Sure to Fizzle.
Yeah,
Kvothe will never be. Every one of these exchanges, Kvothe just does not get one-upped. He continues to destroy Ambrose.
Yeah, well, and he's got an audience. They all love it, and that makes it even worse for Kvothe in the future. Because we know how dangerous Ambrose is, and they even speak to it. And he's like, "Well, they're not going to let anything happen." But again, he's being naive, and when Kvothe's narrating, he speaks to that, how naive he's being to how dangerous Ambrose can actually be. But it's still fun. It's great to read.
Speaking of that audience, like in going along with what I said, he never gets one up. When Ambrose leaves, the people around there all applaud.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring up the rest of the other points that Kvothe made. Like he asked him if he's ever been to the high court at some nearby town.
Yeah,
Modeg.
And
he traps him.
And he's like, "Oh, I've been to the high court there numerous times," and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh, well then you probably should know that they don't think very highly of people who bargain."
Yeah, they're basically
Reread,
saying,
on the other hand,
yeah, you're either going down to low. You either possess low blood, or you're just really desperate. So, do you need my charity?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know you needed this so bad. Here, just take it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he completely fucking flipped the script on Ambrose from Ambrose coming in like, you're desperate and you need my charity, and then Kvothe fucking used his bargaining against him in the same exact way. Like he always has a way of one-upping him. And I also like that, like, after all that and Ambrose goes away, and like Willem's like, how would you score that, Sim? And Sim's like, 3 to Kvothe, 2 to Ambrose. Not your best work. And Kvothe's basically, fucking hungover. And
it's so great though, because he fucking pisses and moans like a little bitch and walks away. Ambrose, I fucking love it, man, because like he plays the exact role that, like, why everybody dislikes this dude. It's just perfect, man.
So, yeah, to what you're saying, Dan, like Kvothe clearly wins the exchange, dominates him on every point, and then afterwards his friends are like, wasn't that great?
Not your best work. Yeah, that's what I like it. I like that aspect of it. The like, from our perspective, it's like, he fucking owned him, and then they're like, not your best work, and it's like, yeah, damn, what are you fucking doing to them in your best work?
Yeah.
Did you guys wonder why Sim isn't tired or hungover?
No, because like, they're young kids, and like you would expect, one of them to fucking just be able to take it like a champ.
Also, does he drink?
The least likely one.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but like,
maybe that's
man,
why. Maybe.
Like those are the ones that fucking take it like a champ. He's probably fucking sipping his fruity drinks, and then fucking Will is like drinking straight fucking scotch, and Kvothe is not a big drinker and fucking just.
No,
like,
he's
probably. It seems like
waiting.
Sim would be the one to fucking make it through.
He's waiting until they get drunk, and then he's just drinking water, pretending he's getting hammered as well. And the next day, he's like, "What's wrong with you guys? What's wrong? You can't handle your alcohol?"
You used to do that all the time, Tim.
No, unfortunately, I was the one getting completely hammered and having to deal with it the next day.
When I was bartending in Los Angeles, and like there's nights where I would work the night shift, and I would be up till 2-3 a.m. fucking just drinking, getting hammered while I'm working, and then have to work the next morning, and like just waking up that next day, like I want to shoot myself in the face. There's no way. Like, how am I going to get to work and just like so hungover, like going right in the fucking subway, fucking up a street to get to fucking work, and then like you would have to drink. Like, it was like, man, this job's going to turn me into an alcoholic, because like
that's what it was doing. I remember I went up there while you were working, and I drank for an entire, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 hours during your shift. And then you were drinking, and then you were like, well, I'm going to go down Burger King, get something to eat. And then you never came back. And I was like, what the hell happened? You fell asleep at Burger King, having eaten your food. You were like, well, I found the wrappers in front of me, so I guess I must have eaten.
Yeah.
And I was like,
completely like blacked out.
Yeah. I was like, are you coming back up here? And you're just like, yeah, I think I'm going home. Like, fuck, I guess I got to find a ride home. It was a weird life. We were living a very strange life back then.
as excellent and as much as I love to hear these stories, guys.
That was some rough times. Rough times. Early 20s.
I was wondering about, and it might be nothing, but it stuck out to me when Willem gives him shit about fucking with Ambrose and continuing to do it. And then he says, Kvothe's like, well, if I wasn't so lazy, I could really interpret or translate Ademete Tas as being, offensive to the edema ruse because the edema drip. And he says, I raised my hand again, thumb and middle finger extended. And then he continued to talk. But I wondered, I raised my hand again, thumb and middle finger. So I was picturing that. First of all, why is he pointing out that he's raising his hand, thumb and middle finger extended? Is he flicking them off?
Yeah,
because it
100%, like I'm doing right now, but you can't see. But I'm definitely flipping you off right now. Thumb and middle finger sticking up. I don't know why.
Yeah, because
I like that.
I was wondering. I'm like, is this just like a little Easter egg to plan forward towards his time with the Amir or the Adem, or is he literally flicking him off?
It sounds like he's flipping him off. Yeah,
which is weird because that's not a gesture that ever happens, and it's almost like he just. I don't know,
it's not explained at all. But yeah, it definitely seems like he's giving him the middle finger, but it's never explained that giving the middle finger is offensive in this world.
It's funny that it would be, because it's funny that it is in ours. When you step back and think of it, like it's weird that you literally get, you're showing someone a finger.
I do like the aspect of it though that even in Will's culture that the edema are fucking degraded, where they basically they call fucking what would this be like chlamydia, they call chlamydia the edema drip.
Yeah it seems like the edema are basically shit on by everybody. Seems like everywhere.
Yeah, well, later on when the girl from Adem who ends up having sex with Kvothe is talking about kind of that specifically. She doesn't she have the same feelings towards the Edema at that point? Calling him kind of
no. Her problem is with STDs.
In general,
she's completely disgusted.
Yeah, it has
with
nothing
STDs,
to do with the
not
edema.
The edema. Yeah,
it's. Okay. I think it's insinuated that everybody that lives there is that's despicable.
Yeah,
and they would she was saying she'd go to the Stormwall Mountains or whatever just to get rid of it.
To the Tall, we talked about, the Tall might be the singers, and they got some magical power. It's also the singing tree. I believe is in the Tall. They were talking about a leaf from the singing tree. I think that's from the Tall as well.
It's interesting also how she mentions that, because it's kind of I would leave just for this reason. So it's not how they all pay back to the city or whatever. It's she would go just for this reason, and no one would think less of her because she was poisoned basically by some piece of shit, edema.
Yeah. Which, if you could just go and travel to some place and they could cure you of your STDs, and even in our world, if there was a place you could go to cure yourself of STDs and you didn't do that, yeah, well, you're a fucking dirtbag.
Yes.
Go clean yourself up.
Yeah. Speaking of the singing tree, is it in this chapter that they mention something about Denna requesting that a man go get her?
The last.
No, that was
chapters ago.
That was a couple of chapters ago.
That was 58.
That's
what
we're
Did
talking
we bring
about.
that up?
Yeah, we brought it up. That was Savoy was careful, telling her you'll do anything, she'll have you go fucking get a leaf from the singing tree. And I'm just saying the singing tree, it's likely that that's from the Tall, which we've talked about. If you remember, the Tall are possibly the singers.
Why? Why do you think it's in where the Tall are?
Because of the singing tree. And there seems to be kind of a magical quality to it, and there's mentions of the Tall and tree, and then there's another story like how Holly's Oak or something like that, like a short story that Rothfuss wrote, where there's an aspect of the story. I would have to look it up because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But there's an aspect of the story where like there's some aspect of a singing tree, and it seems like she's Holly as a member of the Tall. But he talks about the Tall. I could probably find it in one of my notes, but there's an aspect of the Tall where they talk about a singing tree. And let's see, like where would you go? Simon pursued his point doggedly for adventure. I thought for a moment quietly. I guess I'd go to the Tallenwald. Among the Tall, they're primitive nomadic Willamast. Among the Tall Willamast, they're primitive nomadic people, from what I've heard. Technically speaking, the Demaroo are nomadic people. I said dryly. I heard a story once that said the leaders of the tribes aren't great warriors or singers. Their songs can heal the sick and make the trees dance. So
sounds like the same place anyway.
Yeah,
if it heals people.
Yeah, he gives these little hints of like some real mystique up there. It seems like the further you go away from civilization, the more otherworldly qualities there are, like, you know, extraordinary natural qualities or something.
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
And so I think there's strong likelihood that the singing tree and the Tall are, you know, connected. I mean, they're probably connected. The singing tree is probably connected to someone we've heard about, and I don't know who would be a better case than the Tall, based on what, you know, the information that we got. But then after that, he goes back to the Aeolian to get his loot back, and I love the first interaction with Diak. It cracks me up every time I read it. When he's like, "Ho there! Thought you and your friends would end up in the river by the way you were weaving when you left last night. We were swaying in different directions," I explained, so it balanced out. Diak laughed. We've got your lady inside." I fought down a flush and wondered how he had known I was hoping to find Denna here. "I don't know if I would call her my lady exactly. Savoy was my friend after all," he shrugged. "Whatever you call her, Stanchian's got her behind the bar. I'd go grab her before he gets overly familiar and starts practicing his fingering." I felt a flash of rage and barely managed to swallow a mouthful of hot words. "My loot!" He was talking about my loot. I ducked inside quickly, guessing the less Diak saw of my expression, the better it would be. But I love that fucking... "I go grab her before he gets overly familiar and start practicing his fingering." And he's thinking of fucking Denna. It's like, what? What, motherfucker? What are you fucking saying about Denna?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Not practicing on that harp.
I'll fucking murder you.
Yeah, it's interesting how he likes to be stuck in his own head. Yeah, it's a funny play on words.
Yeah, I don't remember how it was my first time reading it. Like if I was thinking the same thing Kvothe was, because I don't remember like thinking like he's going to pick up his loot. So like I probably fell for it too, the way he wrote it. I'm sure he wrote it in a way for people to fall for it, but yeah, it's been too many times. I've read it too many times now, where it just makes me laugh because I know what he's talking about from Jump Street.
Well, the whole time Kvothe is going back to get his loot. There's no indication that Denna's behind the bar or there at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All we know is the reader that he's going back to get his loot, except that he says, "Oh, I hope I get to see Denna there. Maybe I'll see her," which is completely out of the norm.
Well, I don't know. Do we know he's going back to get his loot in the first read through? Because I don't think they say that's why he's going back.
Yeah, he says the long road to Imre was mostly deserted. The sun brushed through the trees and the wind carried
first to
I headed the Aeolian first to retrieve my loot.
Yeah, he had to leave it there so that it was Diak or one of the two made him leave it there so that he didn't break it on the way home because he was drunk.
Yeah, and I also like, you get more Threp.
Yeah,
Which
it
that
was.
guy's fucking great.
It's interesting because he seems to be. I mean, he's like a down to earth guy, Threp, but he also seems. I mean, he's a count, so he seems to have some established. He's got a reputation or whatever. He seems a bit up in society. Yet when he hears that Kvothe at the Arcanum, he's like, oh, we get a reminder of the culture difference. Where he's like, oh, you're a warlock? He's like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
No, what?
Yeah, like,
No,
what?
I'm studying. It's like, what are you studying? Like, but I did also find it interesting when he's like, why are you studying there? And again, Kavoth's always like kind of taken aback. Like, there's this interesting reminder that happens, at least for me, when Kvothe is approached with that question, why do you want to study at the university? And then Threp asking, what do you why are you studying there? And he's just kind of like, it's almost like he doesn't really know. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's trying to find a direction.
His only answer is, I've always wanted
Yeah.
to. There's so much to learn.
Yeah, he said the same thing. I believe he said virtually the same thing at his admissions initially. Now that he's there. But it is like, well, is this what I'm supposed to do? To me, that's what that hints at. It sort of hints to us that this is not his end all be all. You know what I mean? Well, we kind of know that anyway, but
and
clearly he's bigger than this.
It also gives you like the indication, like if you saw Michael Jordan playing basketball and you're like, holy shit, this dude is unfucking believable. This dude's an immense talent. And then you go up and you talk to him like, hey, where are you playing fucking ball? Where are you balling? And he's like, oh, no, that's just kind of my side thing. Like, I'm actually, just going to school to learn engineering.
Getting my
like,
CPA.
What are you fucking doing?
Kelvin has the same reaction, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing, man? You're like the greatest basketball player I've ever fucking seen in my life. Why are you wasting your time fucking going to school to become a fucking engineer?
Yeah, that's interesting because, he's like, you don't need to do that, right? Like, why? Yeah, that's kind of the question. Yeah, is ultimately like, why? Why would you?
Well, like if you saw a savant in something and then they're just like, no, that's my side gig. Like, what? No.
Well, that also
You're
speaks
amazing at that.
That also speaks to his otherworldly abilities.
Yeah.
Right? How everything, it seems like, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's very few things that he stammers with, right? What is it? It's not chemistry. Fuck. I'm drawing a blank.
Well, sympathy.
But, not that. But there's a couple things that it's like he has to admit he doesn't really understand it so well.
Other than arithmetic.
Yeah, like chemistry, like very high maths.
But it's like everything else comes so easily, and he's advanced at everything. He can basically do virtually anything. However, whatever the subject that Simon has to basically get him to admit, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Alchemy. That's it. Yeah.
Well, and also like when he's talking to, if he was talking to Elxadal, instead of Threat, and Elxadal would be like, "Why the fuck are you playing music?
Yeah.
You're an amazing sympathist." Or when he's talking to Kilvin's like, "Oh, good, didn't want to fucking lose you to that fucking piddly shit, fucking playing your fucking stupid music. You're fucking great fucking at sylvedry." Like, he's so fucking good at everything. Like, everybody is like, dude, what are you wasting your time doing all that other shit? And he's like, nah, dude, I'm great at everything.
I think you're right, though, about what you've talked about with his music. I think there's something else with the music that he doesn't have with these other things.
Yeah.
I think he's able to entrance.
I think there's a magical quality to it, yeah.
Yeah. But I maybe the biggest part of that is he's been doing it since like 4 years old or whatever, like since his youth, and maybe he's able to conjure those abilities in his other things that he ends up doing. But he seems to have that. And it's the only thing. It was really interesting when Kelvin mentions that, because he's like, it's the first time that I didn't wholeheartedly believe in something he said. Because I'm like, no, you're fucking wrong. You're acting as if everything I do here lasts forever, but it's really the songs that will last well beyond what your sympathy lamp will last.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Seems like the two most important things in this world may be, one, the music. And I only say that because of what we've talked about, but at least in Kvothe's world, the music, and number two, the naming, which are two things that he excels at, two things that he's Michael Jordan at.
What's super interesting about this group of chapters is two of the most important things to him that sort of complete him as an individual are Denna and the music, and they're both gone, right? So that's why he's Kvothe, right? I mean, there's other reasons, but he's lost both of these super important things to him.
And he's also lost his sympathy.
It seems like he's lost everything. Yeah. Well, you talked about last week how he had rings on both hands.
Yeah.
And then he's got
it's almost
nothing.
like the sympathy.
He can't even beat up two dudes in the room.
Yeah, it's sympathy and all that stuff is not even a magic, in my opinion, as far as what he's doing. There's specific steps in his alar that take care of that.
Yeah, but that's straight up magic. I mean, I don't care what he fucking says. That's straight up magic. Like, that ain't the naming possible.
But the naming and the music are on a different level. Would you agree?
Yeah. I 100% agree. Totally different type of magic. Yeah. Different type of magic, but they're both magic.
I mean, it's not this world.
But what I think it really demonstrates is how fucking on point Abinthy was. Is like, whatever this motherfucker does, he's gonna fucking excel at. Like, if someone saw him doing sympathy, they'd be like, dude, you should just be fucking a master fucking warlock. Or if fucking someone saw him doing sigildry, they would be like, dude, you should be fucking just inventing machines. And if someone saw him playing music, they should be like, dude, you should be a fucking rock star. Like, everything he fucking does, like, that he devotes his fucking time and attention to, it's like, dude, this dude, he's not only good at it, he's the best at it. And it's multiple fucking things that we see through the books. Like, he's not just good at sympathy, he's not just good at sigildry, he's not just good at music, he's better than everybody else.
He's not just good at dominating Ambrose, you know. He dominates.
It'd be like Michael Jordan plays baseball and he's fucking Babe Ruth. You know? Yeah. Like, he's the best hitter in baseball.
This fucking comes out in first year in Double-A baseball, hits 70 homers.
I think like, what? In retrospect, Babe Ruth is like the best comparison because he was also a great freaking pitcher before he was a great hitter.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, he stops doing that, and then he's, you know,
I'm trying to think
I was going to say a great sculptor, but I can't really think of an example.
He crushed hot dogs. He ate so many hot dogs.
He's a great hot dog salesman.
He is basically Joey Chestnut before Joey Chestnut.
Oh, he is the best eater of hot dogs.
Yeah. He can fucking just crush food.
It's like the weirdest thing to be good at.
Yeah. Fucking hit homers, fucking doubles, triples, throw no hitters, and that motherfucker could eat. He could eat so much food.
So it's been like 6 months since Kvothe has seen Denna, but Diak, he knows who she is very well.
Oh, that was going to say, that was one of the things that really spoke to me personally. His whole, well, actually, the back and forth before where they're like, oh, so that's why he's here. When he starts asking about, I was looking for my Aeolian or my Aeluine. And they're like, oh, okay. Because they're like, oh, yeah, he's interested in a woman. He's like, no, it's not like that. Like, he's being such a fucking dork about it.
Yeah.
But again, I get he's a kid, but
he says, I wanted to see if we could get together and sing.
Yeah. I think I know the song you guys want to sing.
It's not like that. It's not like that. I'm serious. I don't like her.
He's so fucking lame in that regard. Like, even Diak was like, when he's like, hey, Kvothe's looking for some fucking girl, and he's like, oh, it doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of ladies that are asking about you. Kvothe's so fucking lame, he doesn't go, who?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's
Like,
asking?
that would have been my first question. It was like, who the fuck asked about me? Like, who? Let me get some names. Give me some numbers. Fucking hook a dude up. And Kvothe's fucking just all fucking... I'm telling you, he's that high school kid that has decided this chick is my chick and I'm going to have the fucking high school romance. And he, like, chose the fucking high school stripper. And, like, he's, like, the worst fucking choice ever. She's going to be fucking parading dudes in front of his face for fucking years.
But even
before
with
he
that,
realizes, like, hey, you know what? I should expand my horizons.
What's funny
He's
is
a masochist.
it makes me, yeah, he's a masochist. It makes me like remember or try to like think back, like when, you know, when you're awkward with girls when you're young. It's like, but was I ever like scared to admit I was into a girl to other people around me? Because that's what he's doing here. He's like, well, no, like, you know, I don't like her, I don't like her, but I like her.
So I've
like,
got,
what the fuck?
Like
I've
grade
got
school.
nephews.
Like, I can only
Dude.
relate to that, like, in like grade school type shit.
I've got nephews. I don't ever remember being like that. Probably I was, but I've got nephews who are so like that. Like they're 15, 18, and all the places in between. Every time I've ever, and I'm the one who's like, I don't care. You know, I'm their uncle who's like, so who you trying to get with, huh? And they, oh no, it's not. No, they're like, they act like they're scared of girls.
I think the best favor you can give is stop that. Stop doing that now. Like, stop.
Right.
Just stop acting like that, and things will go much better for you. But no,
It's just a kid thing, man.
I like when Diak, when he goes off on, you know, careful, that one steal your heart. Men fall for her like wheat before a sickle blade. Like, for me, hearing that, I'd be like, all right, then this is the one. Not the one, but I'm definitely, I'll fucking make this happen. Like, nobody else can? Okay, well, I can.
Yeah, my mentality would be like, I'm going to make her fall for me like that.
Yeah, that's totally, my total reaction when I read that is that's exactly what my attitude would be. It's like, all right, well,
and
just met me.
Is at this point, Kvothe's nothing like you guys, and he is exactly that falling.
Which is ridiculous because, like, he's as talented as me. He's way more talented than Tim, and like, so he should be like that.
No,
yeah,
again, well, if any time should he be like that, it should be now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he just got
You're
all
just,
the
like,
adulation.
crushing it at everything.
Yeah, he should have a tremendous amount of self-esteem, but he just doesn't have it. But again, I guess we always have to fall back on his age. But again, it also it's very engaging that he's not, right? It makes it much more engaging that he's not just rolling with it.
I would give him the age out if he wasn't just fucking nailing it on everything else. Like, he doesn't, in all the rest of his aspects of his life, he doesn't act like a 15-year-old kid.
No, that's definitely the case. I mean, if it wasn't so, it would be much less vexing if he wasn't like just killing it at everything else. Everything else he does, he's succeeding at the best level, the highest level that you can. So he's killing it. He's crushing it at everything. And then he's just like, but I don't know. I don't think she likes me.
But the truth is, despite his own confidence, he's crushing it with Denna too. Denna thinks the world of him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But he doesn't see it. That's the other thing. That's the other part of it that's so frustrating.
Yeah, that's the only aspect that's frustrating is he does not understand his place in her world.
There is something to be said about, this is off topic and dumb, but at times girls tend to flock to, if you just have like a dumb confidence, like a nonchalance, where you don't.
Yes.
You
When you don't
you
give a
are
shit.
that.
Yeah,
You are that.
I
But
mean, I don't
you
know
don't even
any,
realize it.
Yeah, I know. I 100%. Like,
It's
if
just like
if there's any guy out there that doesn't realize that girls are attracted to confidence,
no,
they're fucking
it's
stupid.
not that. No, it's
I,
not that. It's a confidence, but you act like I don't even give a fuck. That's where the confidence
Yes.
lies. Like I don't even
no,
give a fuck.
I agree. Like, well, like when you see girls that are with like fucking just total dirtbags, and you're like, there's a lot of guys that would be like, well, I don't get it. And it's like, no, well, then you don't understand girls. Like, you don't, like, obviously there's exceptions. Not every girl is the same. But the vast majority of girls are attracted to confidence. And so a confident dirtbag can still fucking get with fucking, there's, you know, what, 4 billion girls on the planet? Or 3.5 billion? Like, a confident dirtbag can get with a fucking attractive girl. And so, yeah, it makes perfect sense that fucking confident idiots fucking end up getting attractive girls, because confidence fucking sells with girls for whatever reason.
Yeah, not moral IQ.
Well,
so
or the nice guy gets stuck in the friend zone.
Yeah, because
all the time.
Pussies.
Yes, he's a pussy and he's nice. And he'll talk to you, and maybe you can borrow money off him or some shit.
Yeah, he'll be a good friend.
Yeah, but well, and
he'll be my friend. I can tell him about the fucking dirtbag who fucking treats me like shit.
Well, it's like these guys are playing a war of attrition, where it's like, I'm gonna just last this out. I'll be so nice that she'll eventually have to give it up.
She'll eventually
Look,
see that I'm a really good person and I would treat her really well. And it's like, nah, dude, she doesn't want that.
I was gonna say that's not attractive. That's not enticing.
I'm not mad at those guys for wanting to treat those girls really well.
No, I'm not either.
Understand
they're tactically.
What the woman actually needs is someone who is going to be a security for them. Yes. And a guy who's like that is not going to be. Is not going to secure them from somebody who's confident and willing to go out and get what they deserve.
Like the thing is, the differentiator is not only being a good guy, but fucking having some confidence and some balls, and
be a good guy.
Confidence. Like, yeah, you still want to be a good person. You don't want to be.
I'm not shitting on these guys for being good people. It's for being tactically blind. Yeah, no. If you're tactically blind, it's frustrating to me, and you need to see that this is not working. And if it's not working, you need to do something different, man.
Dude, the most frustrating thing I run into with dudes that like struggle with girls, like, you try to tell them like, look, man, you have a confidence problem. It has nothing to do with your looks, your personality, all that shit. You have a confidence problem, so you have to work on that. And then, like, you tell them, like, okay, you got to start doing things. Learn how to cook. Learn how to make fucking drinks. Learn how to fucking do this and that. And things that are going to build your confidence. Gain some knowledge in different topics so you can be able to discuss a multitude of different topics with girls. And they're all like, no, it's not about that. It's like, no, that is it. Right there. Your sad sack response to me. That is 100% the fucking problem.
Sad sack.
What you're saying,
fucking frustrating as shit.
I'll end it on this because what you're saying is profound, Dan. In order to have confidence, you got to go out and fucking win. You got to go out and get victories in order to be confident. You have to do something. You have to have a couple of wins under your belt, some reasons to be confident, and it's not. And then it's innate, and then it you don't have to try. It's there. You do it. Yes, you're confident because you are winning.
Yeah, you either have it or you don't. And if you've earned it, then you don't have to fake anything. You have it. So now you just walk around with it. Now you can offer something.
Like, it's 100% not about faking it. It's about fucking going and getting it. And what it really... There's too many guys that think you can't fucking earn it. You can't get it. Right. It's just either you have it or you don't.
And what it really boils down to, if you don't have it, you don't have much to offer, bro.
No.
You can be nice all day. You can be a nice guy. Whenever somebody says, well, he's a nice guy, it's always like, I mean, it's the worst. It's not the worst compliment, but you're basically saying like, this dude ain't got a lot to offer.
He's a friend.
But he's a nice guy. It's always, but he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Hey, I like nice guys. We're way off.
You know what guys?
Hey,
nice guys like.
I feel like the people that devote a lot of their times to this book, I think a lot of them need to hear this.
Well, a lot of nice guys, Fitz, by the way, a lot of nice guys like grenadine in their Corona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that we're trying to speak to. Okay. Stop putting grenadine in your fucking Corona.
Order
Order a different beer. Order a lager.
Personally, I think that people who enjoy this book to go through a second time and to stick with us this far along are probably way past the lessons that we're teaching them. I like to give our listener a little more credit here, guys. Maybe
I give you guys no credit. I assume that you guys need to hang on my every word, and that I'm fucking just dropping fucking knowledge that's changing your life. That's what I assume, and I feel like that's clearly the proper perspective to have.
If you believe it, it is true. If you believe it, it is true.
So that brings me to my next point. What does hammer and horn mean, Dan?
I think it's again, I talked about this before, where it's like expletives for the seal dish and different.
Is there a
people in the world? They have different.
I think of it like if you had a headache and someone's fucking blowing a fucking horn in your ear, like that fucking hammer and horn, like fucking shut the fuck up, dude. I got a headache.
Okay, I was thinking more like because. From certain places of this world, they say things like "Telu anyway" or "burned body of God," and then other places they say things that are more natural or like earth-like, right? Like hammer and horn, or I can't think of exact examples now, but I know we pointed this out in the past, where there's certain like people that come from different worlds seem to look at the world a little bit differently, and I think I guess I'm making an assumption that Willem's like pagan, right? Or not, as religious as other parts of the world. I think that's where I always kind of take that, but I guess it could just be like, shut the fuck up, you're loud.
Yeah, I just took it that way because he was hung over when he said it. But that's going back. And then obviously like after his interaction at the Aeolian, he goes to Devi. And he pays her the interest on his term. A couple things, like one, he plays Leave the Town Tinker, which that song comes up a lot. Yeah, she requests it. It comes up a lot. One, obviously, they constantly talk about it's the oldest song, so that lends a lot of credence to what I said in a previous episode with the Tinkers probably being either of the Fae or descending from the Ruach. I think that the fact that Leave the Town Tinker is the oldest song. Or no. It's not Leave the Town Tinker. That's the
Tinker Tanner is the oldest.
Tinker Tanner is the oldest song. Yeah, I'm sorry. So the Leave the Town Tinker is it pertains to like he thinks of it a lot when he's in a bad situation and he needs to get the fuck out of there.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I like Devi here. I like the things. I like that she asks him if the question he's gonna ask is inappropriate, and it's interesting the question he asked because she doesn't really fully answer the question. Has anyone ever reported you? Basically, is like the question, right?
Yeah, she answers it.
She does, but she doesn't answer whether or not so the guy confesses that, he tried to, come on to her and it didn't go well for him, but that's not really clear. It's not really clear what actually happened.
No, he owed her and then he reported her and then they didn't find anything. And then the missing step is she obviously made some kind of threat.
That's what I
because
mean.
she has his blood.
But that's what but that's what Kvothe wants to know about.
Yeah,
you know.
and like but I mean like that's the missing key is like she obviously has his blood. They didn't find it, so they didn't get it back for him. And then so she still has it, and so she obviously made some threats where then he went and said I was lying, like she could kill him.
Yeah.
She has his blood. She could kill him. And so he's
does...
like, I was lying. I fucking made it up. She spurned my advances, so I was lying. I was trying to fucking fuck her, and you know, she turned me down, so now I was butthurt over it.
I guess it does lend more credence to her operation, right? It works.
To her what?
Her operation, what she has going.
How she gets things done.
I like Devi a lot. She's cool. She's a very interesting character.
Devi's cool, man, but she's dangerous.
She's my favorite girl in the book. Not even close. Like, I mean, I like Devi way more than every other chick in the book.
Who do you like, Tim?
I like Shaheen, because I don't know how to say her fucking name. No,
I like lady.
I'm joking. I like I like Devi. I like Vachette is cool. They're all great. I mean, Denna's great. They're all pretty great.
So Devi had a book on her shelf that's called Tecum. Can you? I feel like we've heard this a few times.
We just talked about it.
Yeah, that's the book that he tries to get fucking Bass to read. Unless I'm mistaken.
I don't think she brought up Tecum here. She talked about Malkath's The Basis of All Matter.
No. Just Kvothe is rattling off what book she's got on her shelf.
Oh, yeah, you've got Tecum, and the Eurobarica and the Mating Habits of the Cavus Dracus. But yeah, he brought up Tecum, not like a book.
Seems like Tecum came up a few times.
I believe Tecum is like Aristotle, right? In our world.
Yes, correct, yes.
Yeah. He's like a philosopher.
Yeah, he's a great
you guys have
philosopher.
Talked about him before. I just don't know.
So, but what you glossed over there is really interesting. The common ground that they bond with here, the fact that they're both banned from the archives. I mean, obviously she's banned from the university, but they're both banned from the archives. So they have this common, they have some similarities in the fact that they're even doing business with each other, but they get a bond in this chapter. God, a lot gets accomplished in this chapter, but yeah, it's an interesting bond between the two of them.
And it gives you what is her obsession with the archives? Is it just information? It seems like she's got money. She could fucking buy whatever book she wants.
Yeah, she's interesting.
Is it just information, or is there a specific information she's looking for? Does she want to get behind, like for example, does she want to get behind the 4-plate door or something like that? Like, I mean, what is it about the archives that she's so obsessed with?
I think whether it's behind the 4-plate door or not, what it's kind of obvious is there's occult knowledge there. There's
for sure, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, that's not even. That's explicit, like, because there's knowledge that as a Alir he does not get until he's a Relar, and as a Relar he won't get until he's an Eltha.
Devi's very interesting. Devi's very interesting as a character because she represents like an outlaw, and she has this knowledge and this ability that she can wield, and she's not constrained by the university. And all of their interactions, there's always an agenda, man. There's like, she kind of plays it up like, oh, I like you, and there, our interactions, and we can hang out. She kind of plays that up, but there's always a give and take. There's always something on the line, and it's. She's like,
Denna's a hustler. Denna's a hustler. Devi,
good hustler,
is like
controller,
a really good hustler.
Yeah, she controls the situation. Devi creates a situation where she can control the elements. That's what she's doing. It's like chess and checkers. Not exactly, because that's not.
What about this
analogy.
Den is a hustler. Devi is a manipulator. You know what I mean?
She definitely is.
If you've met the two type of girls, you know what I'm saying.
What, like, the difference is, like, Devi is never gonna be on her back because she doesn't want to. She'll straight murder a fucking dude that tried shit with her. Denna sometimes has to fucking give it up because the danger. Like, she doesn't have the same power that fucking Devi has.
Yeah, Denna will go along to get along. Devi doesn't play that shit.
No, Devi has much more power than Denna, at least as far as her interactions with people. I think that's a large part of what Denna is trying to do throughout the first two books is to gain power. She's trying to fucking gain power, to gain control over her life and over fucking dudes. And then I could see her being like fucking Devi. What she should do is join the university and become a fucking magician.
Yeah,
And
especially with her abilities.
Devi or Denna?
Like her
Denna.
With her
Denna.
natural...
I think that's what saves Devi. I think there are a lot of similarities between Devi and Denna, except for Devi's just way more powerful.
But she's much more knowledgeable. She's gone through the training. She has the knowledge. Denna's capable. I mean, we've read enough to know that she's fully capable. She hasn't had the access. And I also...
power. Denna has no power.
Well, but I also wonder if she has influence. She doesn't have power.
Yeah,
she
She
has
has power. She
has
just doesn't. She doesn't have
it's-
like. If someone tries to get physical with her, I mean, like she fucking fights off a dude with a knife. Like she's
you're
able
right.
to. She's not a total fucking puss or whatever.
Compare-
But
I'll say
like Devi could fucking
Compared to
fight
Devi-
Kvothe.
I think she's more
compared
That's
to
a
Devi,
huge difference.
Denna has nothing.
I think Denna's more reactionary than being able to control the entire atmosphere. That's why she flees so much. That's why she's always going somewhere else. I mean, because
if Kvothe made a Mamet of Denna, there's nothing she could do to stop him.
Yes.
Devi fucking overpowered him. Overpowered Kvothe.
Yeah, that's saying
She's
shit ton.
fucking powerful.
It's not just knowledge; it's sympathy, though. Even though Devi has a handle on it and has people's blood, Devi seems to be much more street smart and much more confident.
Yeah, she's gangster too. She's
gangster, too. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'd
I
be
think
interested
that's
to
why I like her so much. I like the danger aspect of her. I like that she's fucking a little bit scary and unpredictable, and you'd have to feel like she's a match for you. She might be able to overpower you. Like I like, I wouldn't want to be overpowered, but I would like. I want that fucking threat. I want.
I
fucking danger.
No, I like when I read the books again. I always feel like I would hang out at Devi's a lot longer than Kvothe does.
Yeah,
a lot more often.
Yeah, I would. That would be my fucking chick. I would be going after her.
Yeah, but I'm kind of with you, Dan. I'd like a nicer girl in my personal life, but I really like the idea of a chick that can go out and hustle along with me or for me and do team up to make a dent. You know what I'm saying? Team up to dominate.
It's probably a part of my my brokenness that I like the fucking dangerous, fucking screwed up fucking chicks that would, there's a threat that they might stab you when you're sleeping. That's probably not the greatest sign in the world. But for whatever it is, like those
closed.
kind of chicks are the ones that I'm like, yeah, let me see what she's all about.
Yeah, I don't think Devi would be my long term, but I like the idea of hanging out with her.
I haven't noticed. We haven't learned enough about her to know what she's done.
No, that's
besides what we talked about already. But it seemed like Devi is
she challenged
a bad person.
Like it seemed like Elxadal tried to overpower her, and he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, it seems like Elxadal was in the wrong for trying to overpower a chick. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, it doesn't seem like Devi's a bad person. Doesn't seem like she's done something wrong.
Nah, she's like she's kind of like a in between. Like she's willing to do bad things, but she's not necessarily a bad person.
Yeah, she does what she has to do.
Sometimes it could be bad. Like
Yeah,
it seems
I
like
feel
she'll
like
do what she has to do to get what she wants.
I feel like the jury's out on Devi. I mean, it's hard. It's
I don't
hard
think
to say
she's like a
because she
good.
plays the line.
I don't think she's like 100% a good person. I think she's got some good. She's a gray person. She's good in some instances, but I think she would be perfectly willing to do some super dirty shit. I mean, she fucking sold the plumb bob to some dude. She didn't know it was for Kvothe, but she knew it was going to be used for someone. She still fucking did it.
Yeah, I'm going to play my own devil's advocate and say her career lends to the notion that she is willing to do bad things and be a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of.
You almost, if you're ever going to be successful,
you
you're
can't do what she's doing.
line.
Yeah, you can't be like a fucking just a good moral person doing what she's doing. You have to be willing to fucking break some bones.
Yes.
But beyond that, we just got his interaction with Kilvin, which I love Kilvin. He, like I said other times, like he's one of my fucking favorite characters. And I like the aspect of where he's like, he's so flippant about music and entertainment and how like it's just like this pedestrian, like fucking flippant thing that fucking people do. Like he's just so not about it at all.
Yeah, I don't think Kilvin goes back home and turns on, a record.
No,
I don't get the impression that he is. I don't get the impression that his appreciation for music. He's very.
He didn't sound like he hated it though.
Yeah, it sounds like he appreciates
to
something.
An extent.
Something that it's earning an income for Kvothe, and Kvothe can pay for his the things that he owes money for.
Yeah, it seemed like he was looking at it like, all right, well, I guess I lost this dude to another fucking thing, but like it's like he lost, like he understands that why people would do it from a monetary perspective, but he doesn't respect it.
I feel like he has a very practical mind, so he understands why people move in certain directions, and that's kind of what gets revealed in the sense that he assumes Kvothe's like, all right, well then I guess you don't need this. Kvothe's fucking shocked. Just like can't even, like his whole reaction is really interesting how taken aback he is.
I can't remember exactly what he said. It was something to the effect of it has its place, but it made me think that Kilvin was the type of person where like my dad, like I like music way more than my dad does. So my dad loves a certain song or a certain band, even though they may be great or terrible, but he loves that band and that song as much as I love any kind of music. So anyway, Kilvin's response made me think he likes music, but yeah, it nothing compared to a musician or an artist would like music. He likes it on a level of somebody just passing by, and he has way more important shit in his own life to...
Well, it's like he doesn't respect musicians and, the producers of music.
I think to your point, Fitz, Kilvin is all about Hall & Oates and nothing else.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. My dad doesn't love any Hall & Oates song.
Chicago. I bet your dad likes.
I do.
I bet your dad likes Chicago. Or
Kilvin,
he loves Three Dog Night and Barry Manilow.
Kilvin is listening to fucking Queen, fucking 24/7. No, he's not listening to Queen. He's listening to AC/DC. He's listening to AC/DC. He's listening to Thunder.
I can see that.
Thunder.
I'm like picturing sparks from welding irons.
I get 100% picture fucking Kelvin fucking making shit, listen to thunder.
It'd be interesting if he's just like he's super into like Frank Zappa and nothing else.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
He's like he's the shit, and then he doesn't like any other music. Everything else is garbage. Just Frank Zappa.
Only scat.
If Kelvin existed in our world,
scat.
he's 100% listening to 60s, 70s rock. I mean, maybe early 80s is as far as he goes. He's not getting into Guns N' Roses. Like Guns N' Roses, like that would have lost him.
Yeah.
I like to think that he likes more like Leadbelly and some really old timey shit.
That'd be cool. Know? I dig that. Yeah. Some blues.
See how I could like something like that, Tim?
Yeah. I can see that.
So maybe some Johnny Lee. You could like some Johnny Lee.
Oh. Although I could see Led Zeppelin. I could see that.
Yeah.
That could be
60s, 70s rocks, man. That is fucking Kelvin.
It's funny to think about and sort of picture.
That would have to be. And then outside of that, he finishes up. He obviously tells him he's going to keep working there and blah, blah, blah. But then he goes and he makes a fucking sweetheart deal with an inn to start fucking performing there, get a fucking couple talents a span or however long, and fucking get some meals, got a nice place to stay. He's looking pretty fucking sweet, and fucking old dickhead Ambrose gonna fucking pull the rug out from under him.
It's
We're
pretty
not that far yet.
It's pretty great the way that he does that, where it's like 2 silver talents every month, almost ridiculous sum of money to someone who had been poor. Go ahead.
Can I just enjoy the moment for a minute, Dan?
Yeah.
Of how
no, you cannot.
The movement.
Since you asked for permission.
Yeah. All right, I'll demand it, Dan. Right now, Kvothe is in the time of his life. I don't want to hear about Ambrose and what's to come. Not yet. Don't tell me what's to come. No, Tim.
It's pretty great when you think about the chapter just before. He was kind of waxing poetic about, their place in life and him and his friends and how he just got his pipes and blah, blah, blah. And now I'd be able to buy things I desperately need. Another suit of clothes, decent pens and paper, new shoes. And then, he goes on with like his meal, venison steak with a leaf salad and a bowl of tomato soup, fresh peaches and plums, and, white bread with sweet cream butter. Like they're giving him wine he didn't even ask for. Yep. Like, dude's
sounds so great, doesn't it?
Sleeping on a feather bed. Sleeps like a dead man on a feather bed.
They constantly fucking do that where they're like, Rothfuss will like build him up to these big highs.
And
then just fucking drop you fucking way down. And he's got to fucking build himself back up, but he fucking keeps going a little bit higher each time.
The waning follows the waxing so quickly.
Well, you can tell. I think you can tell with like the food is so good and like when it all culminates like this, you just kind of have to know like another shoe's about to drop.
Well, it's like when he's like, we fucking had a big party, fucking said bye to Ben, and fucking everybody's performing these great feats. My parents fucking sing their song, fucking have this great time, and then the Chandrian come in and fucking kill everybody.
Yeah,
like he fucking constantly fucking does this shit.
Everyone I know and love and care about, and that care about me, I'll never see them again ever for the rest of my life.
It's every time he brings in one of these highs, he fucking comes and kneecaps it.
That's the old Nancy Kerrigan.
So as far as that goes, Dan, what we got to come is what you said. Kvothe,
old jackass.
Basically having his shit. Ambrose comes in and buys that place, and go ahead. You tell us what to come here, Dan.
We got a song, Jackass, Jackass. We probably will get to him learn about Bone Tar. So we'll get our lead up. We probably won't get to Fella, not the next episode. 2 episodes from now, we'll get to his rescuing fella.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
That's good shit.
It's good.
But we're going to get real close to him rescuing fella. We're going to learn about the Botar. We're going to get his fucking shitting on Ambrose with Jackass. Get a couple good chapters, and we'll get everything set up for one of the most heroic feats in the book when he rescues fella.
It's funny, man. Like, every time you, like, start to look ahead, it's like, it's a really good book.
Yeah.
It's like every group of chapters, it's like, oh yeah, there's more to look forward to. Oh yeah, then there's this, and oh yeah, this next part.
Yeah, there's no chapters where I'm like, God, I'm gonna have to fucking slog.
By the way, if anyone's listened this far, it's a good idea to read these books.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Highly.
You're like, what?
It.
If you've listened this far and you haven't read the books, I don't know how this happened, but I hope you've gotten a lot of good relationship advice from Dan.
Yeah. You're crushing it in life. If you're listening to me by this amount of time, this amount of hours you spent with me, there's no way you're not crushing it in life anymore. You
know how to order drinks in a bar. You know how to open up conversations with people.
The shit out of everything.
Little baby tummies.
Fucking grenadine
humble.
it up.
You know how to be humble. You're very good at humility.
Yep.
Very good at humility.
Jeez. You've learned from the most humble person who's ever existed in the history of the world.
I don't know if you can.
You've
can
learned
you
a lot,
overstate?
and I feel really good about what I've taught you guys.
I don't know if you can overstate humility further than what you just did.
No.
Yeah, that's the best answer possible.
You can't. I could,
yeah.
But you can't.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, on that note,
yes. All right. Come back and see us next time, guys. It's going to be one hot episode.
Peace.
Yes, sir.